This shit exclusive.
What up, what up, what up? Y'all are live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast, brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, the host. They call me Famous Fees. They also call me Facts. I'm here live with my man, Adam. Holla at him.
Man, let's go. Back on a Tuesday night. Petty Sports. IG family, what's up? YouTube, Facebook, what is happening, everybody? Man, I was saying earlier, I'm just happier when the NFL is here. Like, my blood runs different. I sleep better at night. I'm a better man when the NFL is here. We got a loaded lineup tonight, Fees. Tell us what's coming up this evening, bro.
Hey, man, it's all football. Football and football. We're going to run down the best matchups of the week.
Yes,
we'll talk about some craziness, like, man, just straight up overreactions, because there's a lot of them going on as we speak.
Yep.
We're going to break down a couple of waiver wire guys that y'all want. You know we're going to always make the picks. We got to go back over the picks that we made last week. We got the Fast Five so we can drop some stuff, man. The show is going to be hot. I mean, if y'all watch football all weekend long, this is where you want to be.
Yes,
we got everything you want. So, man, I know we want to start this thing off talking about these subscriptions. Adam, let them know what they need to do.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, Fees, like we've been saying, and everybody watching, IG family especially, appreciate y'all tuning in for the first time tonight. We are at 299 subs, guys. We need to be at 1,000 subs to actually monetize off the show, make it into that platform we want to make it for you guys, get everybody on. We can already have everybody on the show, but make sure to sub, share it with everybody, hit the bell, because believe it or not, 99% of our views from you guys, a lot of people around the world, 99% of y'all, no kidding, are not subscribed. We're going to hit the watch hours. We know we're putting out the content for you guys, but we want to have the returning subs. And Fees, Gary, Bell, I know we can all say it, man. We want to be able to make this a big thing for Petty Sports, Kings Broadcasting. And again, everyone, share the show, subscribe, and tell like 5 people to sub. We'll do a giveaway once we hit some milestones with the YouTube subs. But Fees, I think you could highly agree, yes?
Oh, absolutely, man. All y'all need to do is click that button. Like, man, y'all watching, y'all enjoying, hit the subscribe button. Send it to a friend, have them subscribe. Y'all rock with us. We be giving y'all that heat every week.
Every single week.
Go ahead, jump on in that thing with us, man. We ain't going to keep you too long because we already came in a few minutes after time. Let's go ahead and jump in.
Let's get it, man.
Top 5 games of the week. Y'all all watched them. We're going to start off with the season opener.
Wow.
Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a game.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas showed up and nearly actually upset the defending Super Bowl champions at home in the opener. So, I mean, what did you take away from that game?
The big takeaway for me was, well, let's just call it how it is at first. I think Dallas was Dallas. You force a couple turnovers on Tom Brady, and you feel like Dallas is clawing back into this game. And then when you look at how they can't really capitalize off that and take the game towards the end, this was Dallas's game to win, in my opinion. And yeah, it's week 1. We're talking about Dallas. We're talking about the Super Bowl champs. So maybe we're kind of weighing a Super Bowl hangover, but Brady absolutely went off. Dak absolutely went off. And here's the thing. We know Brady is a true machine out there. He's not a turnover guy. So when Brady, even if he's accidentally coughing these up, like, this is a chance for Dallas. And honestly, you know, we talk about week 1 and we're going to get into some overreactions, but Dallas was actually Dallas in this game. Big offense, absolutely no defense. They make you feel like once in a while they're going to steal a game, and then they're Dallas about it. They're Jerry Jones about it. They're Dak Prescott, you know, lacking that true fourth quarter presence about it. And I mean, that's the big takeaway for me. Tampa Bay offense was great. Thank you, AB, for those fantasy points. Tom Brady absolutely went off in the home opener or in the season opener. And, you know, with the way week 1 happened, I mean, it started great, you know, with Thursday night, ended great with Monday night. We're going to get into that as well. But hell of a game, man. Great opener and definitely one of the better ones in recent memory. But again, like I said, Dallas was Dallas, and I'd be pretty upset if I was the Cowboys. This is a chance for a statement win, and you let it slip. So,
I mean, I wouldn't agree that this was like the Cowboys being the Cowboys. I mean, they played a really good game. I mean, they scored with 1:24 left on the clock to take the 1-point lead.
Right.
They just left too much time on the clock for Tom. I mean, we've seen that happen a million times over. But what I actually took away from the game is that Dallas's offense is really good. It's a lot better than I thought. Their line and their wide receiver core, like they're going to be hard to stop for most teams in the league because we thought that Tampa's defense was so good that no one would be able to actually put up points on them. They made that defense look weak. I mean, at the very least, they may have exposed the fact that Tampa Bay's secondary is nowhere near as good as we thought. If you're able to block the rushers and stop them from putting pressure on your quarterback, then you can be successful. Everyone doesn't have the wide receiver core to do what Dallas did, so it's not particularly a blueprint, because how many teams in the league have wideouts like that?
Right, that deep, that effective at any point in the game.
Yeah, it's like there might be 4 or 5 teams in the league that can do that, and that doesn't mean that you'd always be able to do that because they're going to get pressure.
Right.
But, I mean, all in all, Dallas did their thing. They played a great game. I mean, Dak put up over 400 yards.
Right.
3 touchdowns. The 1 interception was CeeDee Lamb's fault. All the way, his fault.
Right.
Ball hit both of his hands, and he dropped it, and they picked it. Same on the other side. Brady threw for 379, 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. One was a Hail Mary. The other one was all the way Leonard Fournette's fault. So all 3 of the interceptions that we saw in this game really weren't they weren't even relevant.
They weren't true mistakes. And it especially wasn't relevant when Dallas didn't do anything with it.
No, one was off a Hail Mary. So, I mean, the half was over.
Right.
They couldn't do anything with that.
They're going to run it back? I was kind of thinking, what if Dallas did?
He got a decent return, but, I mean, he got tackled and then the half was over. So, it wasn't much to happen about that. So, you can't even be mad at them for not capitalizing. There was an opportunity to capitalize there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what I saw out of that, I mean, Brady just did. He took the heart from them just like what he always does. I mean, with 1:24 left, he had an 11-play, 57-yard drive, and 4 of those 11 plays was Brady throwing the ball away to waste clock.
Yeah.
It's like he had gotten them all the way to the 19-yard line and very well could have played for the touchdown to just outright win it. Absolutely. Like on a walk-off touchdown.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, there's too much time left on the clock.
Brady's dissecting.
He wasn't going to do what Dallas did.
Right.
He's like, oh, there's how much time left? Like, I'm going to throw away these next 3 balls consecutively just to eat clock. He held the ball and then threw it high, like 10, 15 yards over the receiver's head, out of bounds.
Right.
He's like, man, I don't care about the stats or the QB rating or any of that. We got to burn this clock so we get this W.
Right. Absolutely. What's up, chat, everybody? Appreciate y'all hopping in. Facebook, Kevin Wagner, Saints. Yes, this might be the only time I get the jersey. We'll get there later. Fees, Wesley says, you don't talk about the Titans, and I won't talk about the Patriots. Sorry, Wesley. Both of those games are coming. Jamila, what's up? Steeler Nation. Yeah, you got a little something to say, I guess. Lager, what's happening? This Justin on Instagram. Justin Marvel, appreciate you. He says, a different kicker, and we're talking about a different result. Yeah, but it goes back to Dallas being Dallas. Greg the Leg literally makes 1 kick against my Saints, and he loses really the swagger after that, like butchering kicks in this game. So I see what you're saying, Justin, but like I said, I mean, if anything jumps out to me in this game, it's Dallas was Dallas and lost it. Great offense, no defense. Dak can be great for 57 minutes, feels like. And I'm not saying Dak wasn't great all game, but there were times where he fell short, and it's like, okay, you can look back at that and the Cowboys didn't win because of those moments, because of the turnovers, again, that they didn't capitalize on.
I mean, I think it was a great showing for them. They gave their fans hope. Yeah. All Dallas fans are really high on them. I mean,
moral victory.
I think they're way better than what I gave them credit for originally. I thought that game was going to be a straight-up blowout. I think I might have called that like 38-3. It was something like the score of y'all game. That's what I thought that game would look like.
Right.
Craziness. So, man, we're going to move on to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns. This was a rematch of the divisional round game from just last season.
Yes, sir.
So the Cleveland Browns were really emotional about this. Mm-hmm. They showed up in a big way. Kansas City knocked them off one more time.
Yep.
But this was one of the better games, if not the best game we saw this weekend. What were your takeaways from Cleveland and Kansas City?
So it goes to show you again that Patrick Mahomes, I mean, the dude is won his last 9-10 games when trailing by double digits. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter what's on the scoreboard. When you're down 18-3, and we're talking about a team, 3 straight AFC championships, 2 straight Super Bowls, potentially favored to win this year. They were getting it handed to them, the first half there in the first little bit of that game, but you saw Mahomes stay confident. You saw Andy Reid stay confident. And at that point, it was a coaching and quarterback mismatch. Obviously, Mahomes over Baker. Obviously, Andy Reid over Stefanski. But at the end of the day, going more into this quarterback talk, you asked Baker once again to do a little more than manage a game, win you a game, and he can't. Do you know who has the most fourth quarter interceptions since 2018?
I'm assuming it's Baker.
Yes, sir, with 16 fourth quarter intercept, or it might be 18, excuse. But Baker Mayfield notoriously turns the ball over in the fourth quarter. And, if the Browns are going to want to be this special team, this, quit calling us a doormat, the Browns are going to be the Browns. Like, Baker's going to have to be special in these situations. And I don't think Baker's there yet. What was I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What was the issue with OBJ? What happened with him? He was questionable and he got ruled out?
I don't know why he didn't play, but I mean, he could have played a big part in this game.
Yeah.
But I definitely am not subscribing to Baker blew the game. There were some other big botches and errors in that game. I mean, if you look at the block punt.
Yeah, huge.
Well, it wasn't blocked. It was a botched snap. I mean, that was major. I mean, at that point, they were still winning.
Yep.
They gave Kansas City the ball back in the red zone, and they threw a quick touchdown for the go-ahead score, and there were no more scores in that game.
Yep.
And then shortly thereafter, Baker got the ball back, threw a 25-yard shot to Schwartz, and he dropped it on 3rd and 6.
Yep.
It's like you asked Baker to do a lot. He did a lot, but the team didn't help him.
Yep.
Nick Chubb had a game. I mean, he balled out. We expected Nick Chubb to ball out.
Right.
Picked him first in both of the fantasy leagues, and he came through. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, it's like, man, he had the rookie Schwartz out there doing his thing. Landry had a really big game also. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, that botched snap on the punt literally could have come back to be what was actually the game. I mean, they left at least 6 points on the board. At the end of the first half, they had a holding call and then a sack that took them out of field goal range for them to try that ridiculous super lateral play. Mm-hmm. But they should have had 3 points out of that.
Yeah.
Then on the drop balls, they should have had another score and should have had a whole nother possession.
Yep.
I mean, after the punt, well, actually, that wouldn't have been another possession, but they wouldn't have given up the ball in the red zone. I mean,
right.
that was outlandish. They scored so fast from there.
Definitely.
It's like there were some bigger errors than Baker not delivering to where I can't just blame Baker wholly for the loss. He did throw the pick at the end of the game,
right,
which allowed them to ice it. But there were so many other opportunities for the team to have come through that weren't Baker's fault.
Right. Shaky knees, too. Hearing footsteps. I mean, you're talking about the last time the Browns were on the field, in a regular season game. Well, it was postseason, but you know what I'm saying? Not preseason. It was against these Chiefs. And when you've got a lead like that, when you've got a lot of young guys, when you've got still, a fresh coach. Yeah, I know he won coach of the year, but he's still a sophomore head coach in the NFL. I just, like I said, a little bit of a coaching mismatch. Like I mentioned before, shaky knees. And they knew they were out there against a previous team. And I just think the moment was a little too big for him. But I know you got high hopes for the Browns this year. So
yeah,
they were a little week one talk, but we'll see what happens with it.
They were 4 for 4 in the red zone.
Right.
They outrushed them. They outgained them. Cleveland played a great game.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can't just pawn it off and be like, well, Kansas City got a better quarterback and a better coach. It's like, hey, the quarterback had nothing to do with them dropping the snap on the punt.
Yeah.
That was good fortune.
Right.
We can't just say, like, oh, well, see, Pat's better. Like, nah, bro. That's not what happened.
But Pat is better, and Pat did play better.
But you can't just say that that's why they won.
Correct. I can't just say that, but it's a major factor. I mean, Mahomes looked great compared to Baker.
Look, great compared. They were down 22-10 at halftime. We're not going to say that Baker looked like trash and Mahomes had another Mahomes game.
Mahomes did have another Mahomes game, though.
Baker played very good.
Yeah, Baker did play, but Mahomes played better. Mahomes did have a Mahomes game. 350-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. 10 plus point deficit coming back again.
He didn't have 350 plus yards, but we'll just
excuse me. Correct me there, then. How many? Give me how many?
337.
Okay, 330 plus yards. Still over a 300-yard game. 3 touchdowns from Mahomes. Like we always talk about. Correct. But he didn't play as well as Mahomes. And you can come down to that. Mahomes did have another Mahomes game. I got to catch you there, Fees.
Yeah, it's
Mahomes
debatable.
did have a Mahomes game.
Mahomes had players that didn't screw him this time.
Hey. Luck of the draw, right?
Can't give him the excuse in the Super Bowl and then turn around and not give someone else the excuse. You got to keep it fair.
Still better quarterback play.
Yeah.
I will stand on that.
If they play again, I'll still pick Cleveland.
Oh.
Cleveland covered a spread.
Yeah.
And
what was it?
Betting. The spread was 6.
Okay.
So Cleveland covered.
Right.
But we'll move on to the next game because we ain't going to just harp on none of them for too long.
Right.
We'll go on
too much
to
to get into, bro.
The Pittsburgh Steelers. You saw what they did out there.
Yeah.
So, are you giving them credit for showing heart for coming back after a 10-0 deficit in the first half on the Buffalo Bills? Or are you going to blame this on the Bills for having a bad game? Because I know Josh Allen is MVP candidate, and he stunk it up.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, let's not shy away from it. You just spoke to it perfectly. Josh Allen did not look fantastic. Played against an elite defense that came out and really made a statement. I even told you, and I feel silly for saying this, I thought Buffalo was going to roll. I really did. Pittsburgh got absolutely exposed. Buffalo played, just a recent tough game in the AFC Championship against a Kansas City team. But when you look at the Steelers did show that heart, like you just mentioned, did have that 10-0 deficit comeback and dropping 17 in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, of that game. That's big. That's not something the Steelers were doing last year. And we know it had to do with the schedule and the cupcake and the, what was it, 5 games in 10 days. Things happen with COVID, but that's a major statement win from the Steelers. And I think it absolutely speaks to that this defense just doubled down this year. TJ Watt with immense pressure on Josh Allen had a great play on him as well. And, Steelers fans are happy. They're really happy. But when you look at how the Bills truly produced, and you have to look at Josh Allen, I mean, you expected a bigger game. Now, of course, people are going to play both sides and say, oh, well, it's the Steelers and TJ Watt. Check it out. They both played. We expected a Buffalo win. And Pittsburgh came back well, put up huge, and deserved to win that football game. So I think this is more about the Steelers than the Bills.
Nah, man, I think it's a little bit of both. It was a bad football game on both sides. Both offenses were terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Big Ben didn't do much. He was getting sacked. He was just heaving balls up there. I mean, he threw for 188 yards, and they won.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not giving any quarterback credit for that. I mean, on the flip side, Josh Allen threw 51 passes for only 270 yards.
Yeah.
If you're going to put that many balls in the air, then you should have far more yards than that.
At least 350 there.
Yeah, I mean, Najee Harris, he only had 45 yards rushing. He didn't kill it.
Right. And he got 100% of the snaps.
Yeah, played the whole game.
He was the only running back to touch football that game and got 45 yards.
My major takeaway from that game was that the Bills' play calling and arrogance is what got them.
Yeah.
They went for it on multiple fourth downs that were just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
4th and 8, just across midfield, and you're going for it. Then you give the ball back to Pittsburgh. Then you went for it on another 4th and 1 when you were in your own territory. It's like, hey, y'all are doing stuff as if you're playing against the Chiefs or somebody who has an offense so explosive you can't afford to give them the ball back. You know good and well Pittsburgh's offense ain't that good. Punt the ball. Like, that play calling was arrogantly atrocious. Like, on so many levels. And even towards, to the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers scored those points, their offense didn't do it. They got a block punt return for a touchdown. They're looking for anything other than the offense to put points on the board, and they got it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't fault their special teams for doing that, but at the same token, it was a bad game on both sides of the ball. Somebody had to win it. It was ugly. Not giving either one of them credit for it. That game sucked.
Jamila said, say it, Adam. Wesley goes, here comes Jamila.
The game was terrible.
Yeah, you definitely, when you look at all the praise McDermott's got and the coaching staff and Daboll, I believe, correct, over there in Buffalo, a lot of praise, a lot of hype, but then when you go out and you're airing the ball out over 50 times, stinking it up like that, I mean, just no efficient, no true.
Major takeaway from that game was that the Bills
contender play calling. I mean, that was not there for the Bills, so I highly agree with you, Fees.
Yeah, man. It was kind of painful to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Steeler Nation is beating their chest we told you we win. Hey, you got a W. Can't take that away from you. But that game was bad on both sides.
Yeah.
We're not going to overreact and act as if y'all have found your stride. Maybe we gave Buffalo too much credit. Hey, I mean, it's possible. I'm not mad. I don't like them anyway.
Right.
They're in my division.
Right.
Not Buffalo fans at all. Say, before we move on to the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins, it is so close to the 8:24 break. I don't even want to get started.
Facts. I've been a little overrated the last couple of weeks, I think, too, with it running over a little bit.
Yeah, we can't keep doing that.
No, not at all.
Doesn't matter if it's the middle of football season. 8:24, we're going to do 8:24.
5, 4, 3.
Oh, you got the countdown going on.
I do. 1. Kobe. Right there at
Yes,
8:24,
sir.
man. Here, we'll
Go
get
ahead,
another
count
one,
us
bro.
down.
Yeah, I was about to say, bro, you wasn't with me, man. Come on, man. 3, 2, 1. Kobe. What up, IG fam? Hope y'all see the Kobe tribute there. I think we got a couple people watching over here. Appreciate everyone hopping in. Don't forget to subscribe, get in the chat, call the show. 678-871-9602. I don't think I mentioned that yet.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Fees. I want you to go first for your Patriots. I know this was a It was a wild game. I mean, y'all have a lot of the numbers in y'all's favor, so I want you to go first.
I will, but first, we still got to pay these bills after the Kobe break. That's always how this thing works. I mean, Petty Nation, I need to make sure y'all know that we need for y'all to subscribe. It's a lot of folks watching. We need y'all to hit that subscribe button, subscribe. That's what we do. And let everybody know, man, if you want to listen to the show, you can listen to it however you stream your shows.
Fees, where we at?
iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Simple Radio, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, IG. Wherever you listen, we there. All you got to do is tune in.
Right.
And we need y'all help for y'all to support these black businesses. Y'all can get on and subscribe. Like, you can come in and hit the donate button. Like, I promise you, no donation is too small or too big. Go ahead and hit us up. Show a little bit of love. We got plenty of merchandise for y'all. You can see some of it displayed on the table. What we wearing? We got hats, shirts, masks, hoodies, tumblers,
stickers,
mugs.
Baby. Gee, let me get a shot over here, brother. Look at these
brand new stickers.
Stickers, yes, sir. Here we go. Can we see them? Yeah, Petty Sports. KBS. Get them for the laptop. Get them for the car. Get them for anything. Back of your phone.
You'll definitely see one of those on the whip coming soon.
Yes, sir. You got the new Beamer outside?
As soon as I figure out where I want to put it at. Now.
I was about to say, please. It's okay.
It's all good. So, man, make sure y'all holla at us. Hit the show up. It's 678-871-9602. That's how you call the show. Call in, participate, chop it up, give us your takes. We'll take them out because y'all know we do what we do. So now we about to get back to the regularly scheduled programs. We talking about the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. 17-16 victory for Tua and company in Foxborough. It was quite a game. I was bothered, just to say the least. I mean, it was one of those games where I'm going to just start this off for you and be the first person to tell you, if Cam had played, New England would have won that game. So we're just going to get that out the way. But Mac did not have a bad game after the first series. Because the very first series in the game, I was so highly upset. When he got that ball, he snapped the ball and dropped back. Somebody grabbed his leg. He turned around and threw the ball at the running back's feet behind him for a fumble. We did recover the ball. But at that point in the game, it was like, Jesus Christ, we're going 0-17. I was so disgusted. Like, I can't even describe to you how disgusted I was at what he did. He came back and rebounded the game because, I mean, it's all you see that he finished the game 29 of 39 for 261 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they said he had the best statistical rookie debut that anyone's seen as far as his completion percentage, and he had a 102 rating. So, I mean, he did have a very good game. The difference in the game ended up being a late game fumble. With 3.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they drove the ball all the way down to the 7-yard line, and then there was a Damian Harris fumble, which was not a fumble because his knee was down, but for some reason they decided we're not even going to review that. We're just going to give Miami the ball back, and that's going to be the game.
Welcome to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I know we can't tell you about anyone having bad calls, but, hey, it happened, though.
Bro.
At least it wasn't the conference championship game.
Horrible.
But, I mean, all in all, I mean, there were good performances there. I mean, hey, Damian Harris went for 100 yards. Mac looked pretty decent out there. Nelson Aguilar had probably one of his better showings because he was previously looking like a bust before his last season with the Raiders, and now he's picking right back up where he left off. Janu Smith had some nice flashes. We got a lot of catches out of Jacoby Myers. Like, I mean, there were people out there actually contributing to that offense. It's like, hey, like it has promise, and it may build, but the fact of the matter remains they're 0-1.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Now, when you dig into the numbers, and I know you were talking about, if Cam would have played, he would have won here. And I agree with you because the Patriots were supposed to win this football game. Outgained them by, looks like about 250. Definitely more passing yards, well over more rushing yards, 5.6 yards per play. You did have 2 fumbles, which was more than them, but you had less sacks allowed, less punts, more first downs. Like, it was a dominated time of possession. It was all in New England's favor. And, it comes down to it, and things happen here and things happen there. And, you spoke to it, so I'm not going to really rehash it there. But I agree with you. The Pats should have won this game. And I think the Patriots will look, pretty decent as the season goes on. Was fairly impressed with Mac Jones. No turnovers out of, the one fumble with the throw in the ground.
It wasn't a turnover. It was just ugly.
Right. Not even a fumble loss, and there you go. But, no interceptions for Mac Jones. That's something you like to see against a tough Brian Flores, a guy who likes these young quarterbacks to feast on early in the season, when they're rookies, and against a great defense, too. So definitely uptick or positive outlook, for these Patriots fans.
Yeah, definitely should have been a win, though. Like,
Right.
it hurt not to get that one.
Yeah,
You got to take the good ones when you can get them.
absolutely.
So, man, we move on to the last game for the weekend watch top 5 games, which was just last night, which was surprisingly...
Wow.
That one was right up there, Kansas City-Cleveland game with the best game of the weekend, and I wouldn't be mad at you if you said this was it. The Las Vegas Raiders pulled out an overtime thriller over the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, what were your takeaways from that?
My takeaways from this were, again, we had Lamar be in a situation to where he had to truly stand in the pocket and make throws. And Lamar had some nice throws in this game, but most of those throws were out of the pocket, leaning on the run, maybe taking the throw back and, cutting it upfield. But we know that's what Lamar likes to do. But you saw it, I want to say it was right there at the end of the fourth quarter. Lamar was about to load it up and go deep. And at that point, there was no pocket presence from him. He got absolutely obliterated, collapsed in the pocket. And I might be wrong on the timing of the game in the fourth quarter, but Lamar literally loaded up to go for a deep throw at some point later on in that game. And he got crushed in the pocket. It's like, that's what Lamar still has to work on. That's what Lamar still has to improve on. And I know people say the guy can throw the football. We know he can put touchdown passes. But let's be real. If you're not throwing for at least 35 to 3,800 yards in today's NFL, I don't think you are an efficient thrower of the football. Don't talk to me about Kirk Cousins. Don't talk to me about Jimmy G. Don't talk to me about all these other guys that you think can't throw or can over Lamar, because Lamar's not putting up the yards. And I get it. The legs are special. He tries to win with the legs, but you said it also. 3 fumbles makes you think something's got to change. And at some point, you got to start taking a look at Harbaugh, because we know he took a chance late in the first round, 32nd overall pick. But let's also talk about these Raiders. Carr cut him up for 450 yards just about. Josh Jacobs tried to have a little game. Kenyon Drake had a little spark for him. And when you see, again, you said it, Raiders in the opening, don't bet against them. And somehow they pulled it out with a touchdown. So, but you got to look at the fact that, and I know Ravens fans are going to get on me about Lamar can't throw the football. He didn't, like you've also said, consistent throws efficiently. It's not there for Lamar yet. It's just not.
No, I mean, it was pretty much a testament to everything that everyone says about Lamar that has, like, people thinking that you're hating. It's like 19 of 30 is not great. I mean, it's not horrible. He didn't throw enough passes for the way that game actually played out.
Right.
And the ones that he missed were egregious. I mean, like, they
Yeah.
were wide open guys, and he was throwing the ball, like, he's throwing it in the dirt, throwing it 2-3 yards wide to the left or over their heads. Like, they were bad misses, which could have put them in better down and distance, but like, situations. He's making bad throws and then trying to make up for it with his legs. I mean, it really looked like I was watching Lamar at Louisville.
Yeah.
He was just like, all right, I'm faster than everybody. I'm going to run. And that's what resulted in 3 fumbles in this game, which he lost 2 of them. The last of which ended up being the one that cost him the entire game. It's like, you can't keep running. Like, he's a little guy. He's really fast, but he's not big at all. And every time he gets hit, the defender just goes straight for the punch, and they take him out. I mean, it's ugly. I mean, I don't really know what to say for him other than the fact, like, they've got decent weapons. Like, he's not delivering the football. It's like, how long are we just going to blame the lack of wide receivers and everything else?
Marquise Brown had a game. Sammy Watkins had some catches. Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. I understand no Marcus Peters, no running back, excuse me to cut you off, but I'm right there with you. The excuses are to the end. Rashad Bateman.
He's got wide receivers.
Yep.
He's not delivering.
Right.
And just like I told you last week, the Raiders at home in the opener in that brand new shiny stadium with the first time of them actually having fans in it, I wouldn't bet against them. I didn't even know how they were going to win the game, but I told you they were going to win it.
Yeah.
So if you roll with me on that one, then you won some money.
Right.
I didn't get all these picks right this week, but I got that one.
Yeah, that was a crazy one, man. I think the Raiders had 25-1 odds to win this game. But like you said, looking at what they did to the Saints last year in week 2, first game in Allegiant, first game of the season in Allegiant, the Raiders just never quit. They never backed down. Even after the wild pick off the helmet, like, they stayed true to themselves. They stayed consistent. And yeah, Lamar fumbled, which he was pissed about, but the Raiders had to make a play. They did, and they came up with the win in overtime. So definitely one that, I know it's week 1, but I think this could potentially have implications down the road for, if you're kind of pulling teeth for seeding.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I look here in the chat. Wes says he's leaving before we get to the Titans. As I I look at the lineup. Somehow we forgot to even add that game to the lineup. We ain't talking about that.
Yeah, it was that bad, Wesley. Just
you
we'll
got
talk about Kyler.
It was a blowout. That game sucked.
Yeah, that was bad.
Player of the week, petty player of the week at that. Brand new segment. We're going to hit you with that every single week now that the season has started. So, Adam, who do you have on deck for your petty player of the week?
Just spoke about the gentleman himself, and it is going to be my favorite player in the NFL at the moment, despite the Alvin Kamara
Justin
jersey.
Herbert?
No, Kyler Murray. Justin's probably number 2. But we'll see. Let's not get there. So Kyler Murray absolutely looked great. 289 yards, 65% completion, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, another touchdown with his legs. And Kyler Murray came out, played like we really thought he was going to. And I think this was big for, yes, it is, again, week 1. But let's keep it in the context of the show. We got to talk about week 1. The defense for the Titans, again, where was it? Pass rush was horrible. And with the Cardinals, finally being a team to where I feel like this was a small kind of wake-up call game for people that might not be looking at the Cardinals, or even fans, because we're talking about a Derrick Henry, a Tannehill, a Julio Jones. We're talking about a lot of excitement for a Titans team. But let's not forget Arthur Smith is not there anymore. Let's not forget that Julio Jones is still working into this system at the end of the day. And when you look at the fact that Kyler Murray was able to cut them up so well, we expected this to be closer. Kyler Murray had his way. DeAndre Hopkins had his way. And I think Kyler's just going to continue to play at this level. Of course, he'll have times where he stoops down, but this was a great week 1 performance from Kyler Murray, and I'm very happy to see a guy really making it did feel like a statement in week 1, because we expected it to be so much closer with all the hype around the Titans. I didn't even mention A.J. Brown. How dare me? Here come Titans fans. Watch out, Wesley. Sorry. But it was bad. So not for Kyler, though. Yeah. Kyler looked great. He's my petty player of the week.
Okay. Yeah, you see, just like I was mentioning earlier today, I think I went a completely different direction as you did. My petty player of the week is very petty. I'm giving the award to Ronnie Harrison Jr., safety for the Cleveland Browns. If you just so happen to miss what happened in that game, Ronnie Harrison stepped on the running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire from Kansas City, after he tackled him out of bounds on the sideline. Then he pushed Kansas City assistant coach Greg Lewis after Greg Lewis had shoved him off of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, just as a side note, I don't think he stepped on Edwards-Helaire on purpose.
Yeah.
After he made the play, he was trying to get away from there, and there was another defender right to the left of him. So he tried to step around him and step on the running back, and then ended up stepping on him and got pushed by the coach. But then he looked up. He saw who it was. He was like, oh, there was a coach just yoked me like that?
Yeah.
And then he pushed him he didn't push him quite down, but he pushed him real good. And then the people talking about he threw a punch. He didn't punch that dude.
Yeah.
But he pushed him really good though. And I thought it was hilarious. I mean, he definitely he earned petty player of the week for me with that one. He pushing coaches, that is hilarious.
Stepping on small running backs. Yeah. Well, stepping.
He stepped on him. It was on accident, but he did it.
Yeah. Didn't mean to, rather. Yeah. Yeah. All right. There we go then.
That was petty.
For sure.
Man, on to another brand new segment, which you will be getting on a regular basis. I don't know if you get it every week, but week 1, overreactions. This is where we talk about how you just completely frame a whole season off of one game. Week 1, overreactions. We jumping right in. Overreaction number 1, the Saints will challenge the Bucs for the NFC South this year.
Yeah, it's a major overreaction, but if we're speaking to how, some people are going to be talking about this game, the Saints did look great. I mean, offense was on point. Defense, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Robert Tonyan. I mean, they were no factor whatsoever. And who knows? The Saints really could run and be the second team in this division. Now, we did just have a lot of things happen with the Saints, losing Marshawn Lattimore, centers out. 6 coaches now? 5? Yeah,
6 coaches, 1 nutritionist, and 1 player.
Yeah, there you go. All either by COVID or injury. And, a lot of people are going to jump on this, but with it being week 1, it seems like the whole, factor with Aaron Rodgers being super dramatic in the offseason and overall just, first of all, what was up with the hair? The hair was horrible from Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I was making fun of him the whole time with the hair, and then him playing the way he did, absolutely airmailing a couple of interceptions. I mean, the Saints look like they're in a good position to make a run potentially for the top of the NFC South. Now, if we're talking about fun there, yes, but let's keep it with the facts. With the New Orleans Saints, I think they could be a second-place team, but with the way the Panthers kind of looked, and we're going to talk about that coming up, they'll be third place. They'll at least finish better than the Falcons this year. 100%.
I mean, I could buy that they could probably contend with the Panthers for second, but for them challenging Tampa for the top of the NFC South, no, absolutely not. Like, that's a ridiculous overreaction. Green Bay is a chronic, terrible road football team. It was crazy hot in Jacksonville where they played. These aren't excuses. These are actually facts. Green Bay sucks on the road.
Yep.
I mean, they played true to form. Between all the distractions that they had coming in, Aaron Rodgers not being with the team, all of his Jeopardy nonsense, he came out there looking like Steven Seagal. I don't know what that was about. He played terrible. But even to the point that it looked like the Saints offense looked great, the defense was putting them in the greatest positions. Like between the interception returns, their returns off of special teams, Jameis was dealing with short fields the entire game. I mean, to the tune of 93 yards through 3 quarters. He wasn't blazing them up.
Right.
The fields were crazy short.
Yep.
He was 13 of 19 for 93 yards and 4 touchdowns at the end of the third quarter. He wasn't throwing the ball that much.
Right.
It was just very advantageous. The team was clicking as far as the defense was putting him in great positions. I don't think we'll see more 5 touchdown performances out of Jameis because that will require that the defense show up and the opposing team's offense be terrible.
Yep.
Like, that's not going to keep happening.
Right.
So next week, they'll get a reality check. They get the Carolina Panthers. They're not injured. They're not coming off of all kind of off-season drama.
Yep.
And they looked good last week. So they're going to actually have to play. This is a division rival. And this will actually tell us a lot towards which team is going to do more towards making a push to try to get that number 2 spot in the division. Because Tampa's playing Atlanta. So this will give somebody a strong 2 spot or even a possibility of, like, one of them's going to be 2-0. It'll be sitting right there with Tampa. So whichever it is, which I assume is probably going to be Carolina, that's going to tell us a story. But overreaction number 2, Matthew Stafford is going to be elite this season.
So I understand Stafford had an amazing outing with the Rams. But can we also seriously take a look at the fact that this was the Chicago Bears we're talking about? And they do have a good secondary. Let's not lie. They do have a fairly good defense, but when you're able to establish your presence so early on like the Rams did, when you're able to be fairly comfortable for the most part in Matthew Stafford, be able to move outside of the pocket. I mean, the dude had a 156.1 passer rating. What's a perfect passer rating? Is that it? It's like 156.8?
158.3.
Oh, okay, there you go. Has Matthew Stafford, and maybe he has, but we're not going to see a Stafford play like this and be on pace for a 5,500-yard season, quite a few touchdowns. Like, Matthew Stafford is going to be effective in this year, but look at what he's surrounded with. And this is why the excuses are over with for Carson Wentz, because look at what he's surrounded with. Matthew Stafford has the coaching, has the players. We've talked about this time and time again. But for him to be elite, if he was playing maybe the Bucks or potentially how that Bills defense tried to play this weekend, or, they play the Colts coming up, so that'll be a good challenge. But a Colts team per se, like, we're talking about a young Bears team with a shaky QB situation. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily affect your defense, but that's still locker room presence. That's going to knock off some of your chemistry. So let's definitely pump the brakes on a Stafford elite. But I mean, he could be top 12, 13. The guy's got talent, but still an underachiever, I guess, until yesterday.
I mean, I'm not willing to give a quarterback elite status that took over a playoff team with excessive weapons, and we were giving him every excuse in the book for what he didn't have on the other side. And when you look at it on the flip, since this is one of the very few instances where teams actually swap quarterbacks, the quarterback that you replace put up even more numbers than you did with your raggedy team without your top receiver. There was no Galladay there. Goff went for 338 and 3 touchdowns and a loss to San Francisco, which was a better defense that he played against.
Swift balled out.
Like, Stafford may have great numbers this season. But
it's lined up for him. If he doesn't, we're blasting him.
What you walked into, you have to put up better numbers than what Jared Goff did, at least in his 2018 season when they went to the Bowls. I mean, he went for just a few ticks shy of 4,700 yards, 32 touchdowns and 12 picks for a 101 rating. And they went to the Super Bowl.
Goff was lights out on play action in 2018. I mean, he was probably, I want to say statistically, the best play action quarterback that year.
Yeah, I mean, he balled out. So like that's what you're up against. You don't get to just make the playoffs and lose in a wild card and be like, oh, well, it was a good season because you made the playoffs.
Right.
They made the playoffs last year and went to the divisional round.
Right.
The expectations are extremely high, and if you don't exceed them, it's not a win.
Rams have to be in the NFC title game according to the fans this year. I mean, Super Bowl run. Let's just take it to the top. The Rams have a Super Bowl roster, even with Stafford right now. If we're going to go off week one, if we're overreacting, they have a Super Bowl roster.
I mean, everybody has a chance right now.
Yeah. The league is very diverse at the moment. Absolutely crazy week one.
Oh, yeah. So, man, the Dallas Cowboys, are they contenders after that moral victory in week one?
Absolutely not. This is another major overreaction. Sorry, Cowboys fans, IG family. I hope you hear me out here. Please be sure to subscribe, everybody, as we give you this fire content here on Petty Sports. But the Dallas Cowboys being a Super Bowl contender, is the coaching different? No. Okay, there's Dan Quinn. Woohoo. Like, thank you, Gary. Like, come on, man. We've got Dak coming back, and they torched, guess what? A shaky Bucs secondary, just like the beginning of last year. Just like the first 10, 11, 12, 13 games, the Bucs didn't have a good secondary. They were able to stop you on the run. Zeke with 33 yards. Like, let's pump the brakes definitely for the Cowboys. Did they go toe-to-toe with the Bucs? Yeah, absolutely. But they were still, and I'll say it again, the Cowboys were still the Cowboys. How can you be happy that you have put Tom Brady in one of the most rare moments of his, rare situations in his career where he's got a couple turnovers working against him and he still wins the football game? How does that happen? You give the ball back to Brady, but you're supposed to be a contender. You know you're probably going to play him in an NFC title game, right? If you make it there, which you won't. Sorry, Cowboys fans. This is a 20 out of 10 overreaction. You're not Super Bowl contenders. Good game, though.
No, I mean, they're absolutely not contenders. And I mean, just to piggyback off the point, we're judging everything off of Tampa Bay. Last year, Tampa Bay barely beat the Chargers, the Giants, and the Falcons. Were any of them contenders? No.
Right.
Just because you have a close game with a good team doesn't mean that you are that.
Right.
It means you had a great day. You were very fortunate. I mean, the Leonard Fournette interception, that was a fluke, and you capitalized off of it.
Right.
I mean, like, there were several things that happened was like, then the Chris Godwin fumble. You should not have actually been in that game.
Yeah.
There were several things that occurred to keep you in the game.
Yep.
And when it came all the way down to it, you still couldn't win the game.
Still lost.
I mean,
I can hear him beating on the door right now. Here they come.
We saw this happen a couple of years ago. You remember in the AFC Championship game, New England against Kansas City.
Yep.
Pat Mahomes had the ball in the fourth quarter, scored the go-ahead touchdown, but he threw a touchdown to Tyreek Hill, and he scored way too fast.
Yep.
In that time, he gave Brady 4 minutes.
Yep.
And what is he notorious for? He'll eat every second off that clock.
And that was when Kansas City had, no kidding, check the numbers, the 31st ranked defense in the NFL. They gave up the second most yards in the league. And you give Brady the
That's a testament to what he did
Cowboys defense. You're probably the second worst. Jesus. Micah Parsons, excuse me, all your linebackers.
He took a minute 24 seconds on the clock, and he burnt 122 of them.
Yeah. You know, I was waiting for them to just tick the clock down to 0, but I was like, they can't do that. Because, you know, they'll do that sometimes. They'll just, like the fans don't see those 2 seconds. Like, oh, what if we could? Nah, man. But they left it on, and like you said, Brady just demolished the clock. It was his once they gave it back. What did you say before we got on? Brady's won. Why is that? Because he has the ball back or something like that?
No, if you give him the ball, you lost.
Yeah.
No, what I was saying was while I was watching it, before they got the ball back, you saw Brady sitting on the sideline, and he was doing this. When he looks down and he summons whatever God's beast demons, whatever it is that he is in contact with, and he's dialed up another one of those favors, and he's going to win again. He always does it. It's ridiculous, really. He came back out on the field like, well, we got this. And everybody knew it because he keeps doing it. It's crazy.
Jeez.
Jesus Christ. Dak said, he told Brady, we'll see you later this year. Didn't somebody else say that to him? I remember somebody else saying it to him. I don't know who it was. Oh, I think Tony Romo did it. What, is that why he said it? Just ridiculous. Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks need to shut up. It's like, man, win something. Don't talk to that guy.
Yeah.
You got to win some.
Right.
Like, maybe try talking to a quarterback that just came in. Not him. Not the one. It's been our last overreaction. Russell Wilson. will win MVP this season for the first time?
I think this is probably the most realistic out of everything we've said, but I still do think it's going to be an overreaction because Russell Wilson, time and time again, we've talked about it later in the season, he'll perceive pressure. He'll, basically see ghosts, and it'll affect his play tremendously. But, if there's one thing that you have to look at in this win over the Colts is I think the bigger story than Russell Wilson in this game is the Seahawks defensive line getting a hold of potentially the best O-line in the NFL right now, or one of the top O-lines next to obviously, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Cleveland. Like, the Colts have a lot of talent on that line, and the Seahawks were able to make things happen. Now, Russell Wilson, I know we're speaking about him, but I know the guy had a great game. He plays great week one all the time. Let's see how Russell Wilson gets when he's got to come down to the wire again for 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row like last year. I think he won the Minnesota game by 1, had no reason doing that in 2020, and then lost the next game. And I said, look, Russ's magic ran out. That's how it happens. So let's calm down on the MVP talks. Was it an MVP caliber game? Sure. Against a great defense? Sure. But it's week one. So let's not talk about MVPs in week one. He wasn't even in our eyesight for the predictions anyways. So yeah, overreaction, but the most realistic of them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think this one being different from what he normally does. Usually he comes out and throws for 300-400 yards.
Look what he did week
4 or
one
5 touchdowns. And then he keeps it up for like about 6-7 weeks to the point where it's like he's a runaway for the MVP.
Yeah.
So it might actually be better for him that he came out with a solid win over the Colts. He only went for 254, but he did throw 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. So just like you talked about the crazy rating that Matt Stafford finished with.
Yeah, 156.1.
Russell Wilson was a 152.3.
Yeah.
So he was right up there. So if he can just have a consistent year as opposed to half of a legendary season and then a second half that's like, what the hell happened to him, then I think he actually could be on pace for it.
Yeah.
If he's not the front runner, I think he might be able to continue.
Right.
This might be a good thing for him. So I think, this might be the most realistic of all of them.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Russ is he'll have to cook a little harder this year if he wants to get the MVP. But I think we're all saying that.
Oh, absolutely, man. So we're going to give y'all a little fun segment before we jump back into a whole bunch of more numbers, facts, and figures. This one is all about the best social media posts of the weekend.
It's a great idea, Fees.
Man, when the NFL games come, the memes come, the videos drop. The first one, super troll-tastic. Tom Brady posted his normal video because he's been doing this for years. He jumps on and he'll be like, hey, that was a great win week one. And then it'll be some other little I didn't say anything cheesiness. But what was troll-tastic about this post was the fact that just over his right shoulder, it was 3:28 p.m. And they play the Falcons next week. So I'm like, oh, you really posted this video at 3:28 so you could put the 28-3 up there because you play him next week? Like that was a serious troll. And he tried to act like he didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And, I was talking about this before he got on. Brady is, the dude's got the ESPN documentary coming out, but he is effectively, and I'll say, I think some of his social media presence here lately and the way he has really turned his career with just the I'm going to do my thing mentality, it's really contributing to his legend status and his overall mark that he's going to leave, when he's out of the game and when, eventually Tom Brady isn't with us anymore. The way he's absolutely just dominating on social media, playing well in the league, but he's speaking out. He's making these clips. He's getting on these podcasts. He's being goofy, and now he's starting to troll a little bit. I think it kind of was a little bit of a peak for me when he was stumbling off the boat drunk. But go figure. Tom Brady just won number 7. Like, give the guy what he wants, okay? But I'm liking this part of Brady, and I'm totally here for the troll. 3:28. I'm still a little skeptical on if he meant to do it, but the argument definitely favors for more yes than no. So good job, Tom. Let's go get the Falcons next week.
There's no way he didn't do that on purpose. Like he definitely knows what he's doing. And even got everyone who played against him talks about how much trash that he actually talks.
Yep.
Like, now he's out of New England, so he doesn't have to say all the perfect things for his press conferences and everywhere else. We're seeing Tom all day long.
Yep.
So, man, with this next one was classic, a little bit corny, but I'm mad that they fell for it. Go ahead, drop us with the Cleveland and Pittsburgh troll.
Okay, so Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously were able to pull out the W over the weekend against the Bills, and the Browns ended up falling short against the Chiefs. So you had a Steelers fan get on, and I know the graphics coming here soon, saying something along the lines of, I know the Browns lost, but can my buddy Owen get a jersey? And he added the Browns Twitter. So the Browns Twitter come back and says, sure thing, we can make it happen. Owen who? And the Steelers fan comes back with the most like OG, this is a knock-knock joke type of thing. 0-1, let's go Steelers. And I want to say he got blocked after that. I want to say the Browns Twitter actually blocked him after that. And I was like, look at Steelers fans, man. They steal a damn game. There you go on the screen. They steal a game from a powerhouse Bills team, and they just run away with it. But hey, Browns guy, he probably got spoken to like, bro, how did you
fell for that?
Yeah. Like this is like this is like a Ligma or Formunda type of joke. Like, come on, guys. This is so much more OG than those. And the Browns sort of fell for it. So yeah. Browns fans just had to take one on the nose on social, Twitter, and on the field, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, that was pretty sad. I mean, the fact that you actually fell for that is like, really?
And he even
got hit for 0-1. Come on, man.
I know it's really not that funny, but the see, to me, when you make simple, stupid jokes and people actually bite me, you're like, bro, there's no way they fall for that. That's when it's funny. That's when it gets me. So definitely deserve to make the cut here.
Sad, man. So another huge headline on social media. Urban Meyer is the betting favorite for the recently vacant USC Trojan head coaching job that Clay Helton just got fired from. In case you forgot, he just got hired on as Jacksonville's head coach, and they're 0-1, ironically. But they've only played one game. Like, how is he the betting favorite to be the coach? Like they say he's considering resigning already. Like, after one game?
Right.
Is Trevor Lawrence that bad? Do you not like the city? Like, what's happening?
So, what's crazy is this here says his heart's just not in on it. Now, I don't know if that's a specific quote, but for something to potentially, for some sort of action from Urban Meyer, even if someone drew that conclusion, that's pretty serious. Urban obviously showed something for this to get speculated this hard. And we talked about it before. There was Trevor Lawrence talking about, Tebow, this is great and all that. And shout out to Cowherd saying, Trevor Lawrence was basically blind. Urban Meyer was basically pulling the wool over Trevor Lawrence's eyes. Tebow's cut after one preseason game. And now you have Urban Meyer potentially questioning going for the USC job. His heart's not in it. I hope Trevor Lawrence is ready for a big reality check, a big compartmentalizing test. Like, he's got a lot to go through, because I have a feeling that, I'll be really bold here, Urban Meyer will be out by week 8. If this is true, Urban Meyer will be out by week 8. Absolutely.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, especially with the shakiness, man. I mean, your heart's not in it. But let's also shout out this, Justin, if you're still watching. We know Urban Meyer can be a flake when it's not in the favor for him. And I won't go any further because I want to be respectful. But this is not a surprise from Urban Meyer.
Hey, I'm all for it. I mean, I called for Urban Meyer to USC about 3 years ago. I've been calling for it, but there's other major names on the block. I'm like, hold up. Like, all these dudes aren't available.
Right.
Lane Kiffin, Bill O'Brien. Like, he just got to Bama. Mm-hmm. Lane just got to, what has he got? This is his second season at Ole Miss?
Yep.
Yeah, like, he's in year 2. Bill O'Brien is 2 games under his belt as the OC of Alabama. Eric Bieniemy has been thrown into some talks. Like, that would be pretty major. Like, as things are unfolding, I would be all for Eric Bieniemy coming to SC. But they've also got Tony Elliott on the block. He's the offensive coordinator for Clemson from since 2015. I mean, they pulled out big names. So I guess it's just because of the prestige of the program out of Southern Cal. They're like, hey, all the big coaches are going to want that job because it's high profile.
Right.
And it probably pays a lot.
Cher said he meant to do it. I love Talking Tom. Talking Tom. Damn, yeah, that's got to stick.
Oh, yeah. That's what she's been calling him ever since he left New England. He's Talking Tom.
He has been. I mean, hell, after the Hulu commercial, me? I'm not going anywhere. Psych, about to go win a Super Bowl in the NFC. Horrible. Did them so dirty. So dirty.
All he was saying is he wasn't going to retire.
Right. So, Fees, just real quick, I know we got to move 15 seconds or less. How did you feel after he left once you saw the Hulu video? After he literally said, I'm not going anywhere?
I wasn't surprised. I mean, we all knew he was leaving. The writing was on the wall.
Really? Well, yeah, house up for sale.
Yeah.
shakiness before.
We
Brady
get all
was-
the inside information, and like everybody in Pat's Nation knew he was leaving.
Yeah. Like you had no doubt in your mind Brady was not going to play for New England after that year.
Yeah.
Damn. I remember when it came across FS1 and I said, damn, they're digging for content, they? And now Brady wins number 7 with Tampa. Jesus.
Yeah, man, you saw I reposted a video from March 25th earlier that year. Like, it was right after he left. I was like, Cam Newton is going to be our new quarterback.
And it happened.
Yeah.
Feastradamus.
That's why they call them facts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. One more little quick hitter before we go to the top of the hour break, because we rolling. This time just ain't riding with us, man. Come on, slow that thing down a little bit.
I know, man.
Man, hit us with this last one about this Ravens fan. That's crazy.
Yeah, so Ravens fan, we all saw the game last night. Derek Carr throws a pass, bounces off the Ravens helmet, and it becomes an interception. At that point, this fan leaves where they're at, goes and jumps into a pool. So there you go on the screen, absolutely showing his ass, soaking wet. And he was like, oh, we've won. And then little do you know, Lamar tries to win it with his legs again. Fumbles and horrible coverage. I mean, I thought Derek Carr was throwing it away, and I was like, oh, damn, that's a touchdown. What a way to lose.
Wide open.
Right, in Allegiant Stadium. But, you know, as far as this fan, sorry, bro. Soaking wet. What number jersey is that? 20? No, that says 20?
Ed Reed jersey?
Yeah, okay. I mean, you saved yourself there, legendary jersey. But, I mean, he's like, we won. It's no. Because shortly after, the Raiders walk off. So don't bet against the Raiders in Allegiant. That's something I will swear by. If you know nothing about betting football, don't bet against the Raiders in the home opener.
Yeah.
In Allegiant.
I told y'all last week.
You did.
They're going to win in that stadium for the home opener.
You did. And now they're 2-0 compared to the when the situation is like it's been with the last 2 times they've won, they're set up very well to win it, to take it home.
Yeah. And like each time had people thinking that they were on their way. They'll get smacked next week.
Yep.
That's just what it
They
is.
said they get smacked next week.
Yeah, it always happens. That's the Raider way.
45-7 Raiders versus whoever they play.
Well,
Raiders
no,
with 7.
They won't give up 45 points because they played one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
They got Pittsburgh.
Oh. Here comes Jamila.
But it's all good though, man. You said didn't predict him drafting Mac. Wes, go sit in the corner somewhere and figure out why Derrick Henry didn't go for 300 yards.
Wesley, so I guess he just wants to get you for drafting Mac. I mean, Max played out well. I don't know. You're happy as a fan, right?
Yeah, I mean, he looked good. We should have won that game.
Yeah.
We definitely were more in the game than the Titans.
Yeah.
Bruh. Arizona gave him that work. You say they aren't on the schedule, but we could talk about it. Where are all them wideouts? Derrick Henry couldn't get loose. Julio couldn't get loose. AJ Brown couldn't get loose. Every time you come on here, you in the chat naming off your roster, and you type in Derrick Henry 800 times, and y'all got smacked. And now you got other stuff to say. How about you just take a break?
He said it now. You got other stuff to say.
Take a break. It's okay. You lost.
Oh, jeez. It's week 1, man. Don't let our overreactions get to you, Wesley. Obviously, the segment's doing the job. The segment's doing the job. All right, we are at the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. Hour 2 here on Petty Sports. Adam Lewis here. One of the hosts here on the best sports podcast in Atlanta. You know we're live here in the city. Fees, tell them what's up before we get in hour 2, bro.
Man, hour 2 about to be on and popping. Y'all know what we do. Make sure y'all tune into the show on all available platforms. We on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We on Spotify, Simple Radio, TikTok, YouTube, IG, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere that you do your media and your podcasts. Y'all call in. We haven't gotten a caller today.
Yeah.
Y'all have been doing good lately. I'm like, man, don't let us down. It's 678-871-9602. Call the Petty line. Let us know what you're thinking. Wes, grab your track phone and call in and talk about your Raggedy Titans if that's what you want to do. But y'all remember, we got the merchandise for you. You want to dress like the Petty Crew? Get you one of these cold T-shirts. We got the red, we got the black, we got the hats, we got masks, we got hoodies, we got tumblers, we got mugs. We got everything you need. We got these dope new bumper stickers. You can put them anywhere you want to. We got everything. Make sure y'all go to the kingsbroadcasting.com, hit the donate button, support black businesses because we support you. Now we on to hour number 2.
Let's get it, man. Hour 2 is here. So let's start off the top, man. Let's go ahead and get into the loaded show here. Little NFL Fast 5 action. So we did talk about the 5 best games from this past weekend, and it was a hell of a slate. But believe it or not, there were 5 more that you could arguably talk about. And let's start from the top with number 1, Chargers versus Washington football team. One that you weren't really high on. Apparently was a terrible game. Let's let Fees tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't woken up from that game. In 20-16, clearly there wasn't much action. You'd think that it was a defensive battle, but it actually wasn't. I mean, Justin Herbert threw for 337 yards and only 1 touchdown because they could not get in the end zone. They had the fortune for the Chargers. It was fortune. Let's not sit here, and I'm not saying that it was fortunate that Fitzmagic got hurt.
Right.
But in the favor of the Chargers, Ryan Fitzpatrick got hurt. He went down, and Taylor Heineke had to come in.
Right.
Heineke came in and did well. He was 11 for 15 for 122 and a touchdown. But no one scored almost the entire fourth quarter. I mean, we got 1 touchdown out of the Chargers with 11:20 left in the fourth quarter, and the rest of the game was bad football. Just a bunch of garbage up and down the field. My takeaways from that game really aren't that much. I mean, Washington football team is without a quarterback, and the Chargers are very underwhelming. High expectations, not really delivering. I don't know what extra, super optimistic take you got out of that, but watching that game told me I don't have any faith in either one of those teams after watching that.
Mm-hmm. I feel you there. Well, week 1, of course, it's like I said, we got to take away what we can from it. It was, kind of an ugly showing. Justin Herbert actually had a decent game, put up some numbers, put up some yards, but he was also facing an elite defense in the Washington football team. I think they're a top 3 front 7 in the NFL when you talk about the defensive line, when you talk about the linebacking core. And when you look at the offense also, I think you have to speak to the fact that the Chargers were able to bog down an Antonio Gibson, a wide receiver core that's out there, a Logan Thomas that has high expectations. And I understand, yes, the quarterback room was shaky. So in reality, LA should have taken off more with that game. But the reason I just wanted to get it on the slate so much is I thought overall it was a competitive enough game to where, okay, there might not be major takeaways from, positives for this team, but it made for a good outing. I still stick to the fact that it was one of the better games in terms of competition over the weekend because you did have a shaky Austin Eckler, if I'm not mistaken. I know we had some reports about him. And overall, just the football team coming out and being able to adjust on the fly because, like you said, Fitzmagic week 1, sometimes he'll torch you. Obviously, he started out bad, little injury there, and Heineke came in, but I still think it was a fair game, so I was here for it. Let's move on to the next one, though. We had... I thought this one was going to get away. I mean, Kyle Shanahan should know it's not the Super Bowl. This is week 1. The Niners and the Lions are leading 41-17, and then what happened after that, Fees? Jesus.
Man, Jared Goff happened. Yeah. He came out and he had to put some respect back on his name. I mean, just like the way West. You guys have all been killing him, he's played against this division his entire career, and he started off his new team in the same spot. I mean, Jared Goff went 38 of 57 for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns against that San Francisco defense with seemingly no weapons. I mean, TJ Hawkinson had a game. 8 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown. Swift had 8 catches for 65 and a touchdown. He took what we all had pawned off as terrible weapons when we were talking about Matt Stafford, and he put together numbers. Granted, they got the same result Matt Stafford gets. Are we going to give him the excuse? He put up over 300 yards, only 1 interception with 3 touchdowns, put up 33 points against a really good San Francisco defense. We just going to continue to kill him? Jimmy had another good game, too. He went for 314 and 1 touchdown. They actually let Trey Lance come in for a hot second. He threw 1 touchdown. I mean, it was a really good performance by San Francisco, who took their foot off the gas and they let Detroit walk them down. Luckily for them, they didn't let them come all the way back for the W. But, I mean, all in all, I can't just scoff at Jared Goff.
Right.
I've been riding for him. I don't like what they did to him, and he came out and put some respect on his name.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about, I mean, God, you want to look at, okay, was it San Francisco melting down? Yeah. Again, Kyle Shanahan just crumbling under a simple game. It wasn't even a big game. It was a simple one. But Jared Goff finding a Swift, finding a Hawkinson. And let's also think about it. He played that defense twice a year for a long time. A lot of the same dudes are still there. Yeah, no Richard Sherman and a little change, with some of your guys. But, I mean, still had help from a Bosa, still looking at a Fred Warner, still guys out there that are going to give you problems. And I think when, it's not really too much to overthink it because, like I just said, Goff has seen these guys before. So it was a little revenge, I might lose. But, again, Fees, you were saying, Stafford, he put up numbers. Goff put up numbers with people that apparently you couldn't play with and almost beat a good Niners team. Now, yes, there was a meltdown factor, but I mean, you still got to give them some of the credit for the way they were able to push towards the end of that game. But God, it was it was horrible for sure. Now, let's talk about the revenge game of the weekend. Got the New York Jets against the Carolina Panthers, and Zach Wilson struggled kind of, as we thought, against a Panthers defense that with a J.C. Horn and a front, four that can kind of stop the run. What was the reason, I guess, what's up with Zach? What was up with this game?
I mean, it just seemed like the moment just kind of got away from him. I mean, Carolina didn't actually run them off the field. And Carolina did look like they were the better team the entire game. It didn't convert into points. I mean, Sam Darnold did have a good showing, and I know he wanted to get off against his old team. I mean, he did go for 279 on a touchdown, and he ran for another touchdown. So, I mean, he pulled off the W. I'm pretty sure he had all kinds of things to say off those cameras about how they let him go. And he's like, man, I got weapons now. So, I mean, he looked like he was actually a lot more comfortable, confident. Like he's happier in Carolina, and the team will benefit from it. I think Carolina is going to be a good team this year. Not a contender, but you're never going to walk into a week playing against Carolina and be like, we're just going to wipe them.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a pretty decent football team. For the Jets, I mean, a lot of people are saying that they should have a lot to look forward to and look up to. I don't really see anything different from when Sam Darnold was there, because Zach Wilson has nothing to work with, and he's not better than Sam Darnold. They're not going to win any more games than what they won a year ago. They'll be picking top 3.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Don't know about a top 3 pick, and maybe they'll win a few more games because they are a little more talented from the people they picked up. But when you talk about Zach Wilson and that Jets team facing off against the Panthers that, you felt like they could have had control at one point in that game. But when you look at, like you said, the Panthers are not going to be a team you can walk over. Sam Darnold is decently talented. He's with a Matt Rule. He's with some wide receivers out there. He's got Chuba Hubbard. Christian McCaffrey's back. They've got players out there in Carolina. And when you look at the fact that Sam Darnold actually was able to control himself at certain points in this game and not be that erratic, bad quarterback that we've all come to know. Now, again, it is week 1. You don't only win by 5, and Zach Wilson was 20 for 37, so that contributed to a little more of a positive outlook from the Panthers. But overall, I got to be happy with the performance that I saw from Sam Darnold. I think kind of like Stafford, he's going to flip it around a little bit for himself. Not as in great of a situation because definitely Well, I don't know about the division, but you get what I'm saying there.
He doesn't have the level of expectations of Stafford either.
Right, absolutely. So it's definitely going to be more, it'll be easier on him per se. But let's get to the reason I'm wearing the Saints jersey today. Packers at Saints. Oh my God. Might be the only time I get to wear the jersey, so y'all forgive me, please. I mean, we're overreacting. Bring out AK. Not even 20 points in fantasy, though, in my league anyways. I was a little upset. But was it the hair for Aaron Rodgers? Was it the offseason? Or were the Packers really just that bad?
I mean, I think that day the Packers were that bad. I don't think the Packers are as bad as they played, nor are the Saints as good as what the score suggests they are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they didn't actually play as good as the score said. They kept getting the ball in the red zone. Like, you had 20 yards, 10 yards to go to score another touchdown. You start putting up points real quick like that, and Aaron Rodgers is giving you balls.
Yep.
He doesn't normally throw balls away like that.
It was a 50-yard arm punt.
He's just throwing interceptions like they're going out of style. Like, he just didn't care. Like, he's trying to throw the season or something. I mean, that was a horrible game on Green Bay's part. I mean, I can't take anything away from the Saints. They did what they were supposed to do. When they got the ball, they capitalized and they scored. But when you dig deeper into the game, I don't have any takeaways that say the Saints will be able to do that to anybody else, because I don't see any other teams playing as bad as what Green Bay did, unless you got Jacksonville next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to agree with you there. And, for one, the hair was absolutely off from Aaron Rodgers. I was like, oh, my God. But if there's one thing that, a good point that some of these guys out there made is there were some NFL quarterbacks that did not play in the preseason, and a decent amount of those guys didn't look necessarily great in the opener of the year. You saw Matt Ryan that didn't get a whole lot of preseason time, didn't look good. Aaron Rodgers, 0 preseason time, didn't look very good. And when you look at the fact that the Packers cannot take this for granted, you went to 2 straight NFC championship games, one that was in your house with a rookie and a sophomore head coach, and you get embarrassed both times. I mean, get run off the field. Just like emotionally, physically, just like this week, ran off the field. Devontae Adams already had a little bit of speculation. Aaron Rodgers obviously had major speculation. I hope Green Bay fans don't potentially turn into like a Texans. Yeah, that's kind of rough, but let's talk about the fact that you've got superstars. the culture isn't really improving if we're talking seriously about it. And you've got a lot of negative connotations toward this, especially from the man at the helm, Aaron Rodgers. So I think a little bit of everything, but the Saints defense, I said it, if the Saints are going to be good for some reason this year, it's going to be because of Sean Payton and that defense way more than it will be the offense. So this was definitely an eye-opener for us. But let's get to the last one here before we roll out of the NFL Fast Five. Guys, please make sure to subscribe, call the show, get in the chat. IG fam, y'all have been awesome. We're going to make this a thing every week. Fees. The Vikings and the Bengals go to overtime. Justin Jefferson kind of takes a minute to get going. Jamar Chase was on my bench. I'm pissed about that. But tell me what was the X factor you think in this Bengals Vikings game?
Man, the referees. Really, I mean, as much as I was trolling the Vikings fan at the bar when I was watching the game, they should have gotten the ball back and won the game. I thought it was a bad booth review.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they shouldn't have been in the game with Cincinnati in the first place. So I can't take anything away from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow had a very good game. He 20-27 for 261 and 2 touchdowns. And he basically picked up where he left off.
Yep.
He didn't look like that in the preseason. Preseason looked like last season might have been a little bit of a fluke.
Yeah.
But he turned it all the way back around. And even after the ridiculous comments from Jamar Chase that scared everyone away, thinking about the ball doesn't have stripes on it anymore, so now all I have are the 6 white lines on the laces, so it's harder to see the football. It's like, are you serious? Like, could somebody call Stephen A?
I still don't believe that.
Somebody call Stephen A. Stay off the weed, man.
Stay off the weed.
What are you talking about?
I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he was going to produce better than T. Higgins. And realistically, it wasn't that much of a drop-off. That's why I don't like having 2 receivers on the same team, because T. Higgins and Jamar Chase put up about 20 in fantasy. But I was thinking, I was like, what if this guy does dud out against, I'm kind of dumb for biting on the Vikings defense. I mean, yeah, they got, Peterson and Kendricks and Harrison Smith, but I mean, who came out with the win? The Bengals.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 101 yards and a touchdown. Go figure.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it was a great win for Cincinnati. I think really, I will say that, but I think any win for Cincinnati is a great win. So I'll probably say that every single time they win, like, that was a great win for Cincinnati, because they're probably not expected to win very many games.
Yeah. I think I had them ceiling of 6 games. Yeah, ceiling of 6 games. Definitely Cincinnati's ballpark.
Could have been more than that.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap up the week 1 games. Now, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into the weekend watch for week 2. And we're coming at you with the best games for week 2 of the NFL. Real quick, before we move on to week 2, week 1 was the first time since 1983, if you were a betting man, that the underdog won the majority of the spreads there. How crazy is that, Fees? So many people. I mean, 25-1 odds for the Raiders, starting off on Monday Night Football, starting off on Thursday Night Football, ending on Monday Night Football. You can argue like 85% of the games this week, and we're worth eyeballs, in my opinion. But let's get into the week 2 games that we really think are going to tear it up. We'll start with the Niners at the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think it was more about the Falcons being bad than the Eagles being good. But does Jalen Hurts have another hell of a performance against these Niners?
I mean, I think he does. I mean, after we saw what Jared Goff was able to put together against that defense, granted it was later in the game, I think that there'll be some takeaways from that Jalen is able to pick up on. And he actually has way more formidable weapons than what Detroit actually trotted out on the field. Devontae Smith actually looked like the Heisman winner out there.
Yeah.
Which he didn't really get much time in the preseason, so we really didn't know what he was going to be able to do in the league. But with a weapon like that, it looks like he has excellent rapport with Jalen Hurts. And Hurts is taking care of that football. I mean, he came out and torched the Falcons. Granted, it was the Falcons. He looked great. I mean, for as bad as, I thought the Falcons were going to run through Philly. Philly did nothing to show anyone.
Gary laughed at us for that.
Philly did nothing to show anyone that they were going to come out and handle anybody.
Right.
Their defense didn't show us anything. And for the most part, outside of the Saints game, Jalen Hurts didn't really just burn the field up on anyone either.
Right.
So, for him to come out like that against the Falcons, that was a really positive outlook for them. So I think this will be a really tight game. Granted, I think San Francisco is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
San Francisco is used to playing against mobile quarterbacks. You're not like Jalen Hurts doesn't present anything that Russell Wilson doesn't.
Right.
And they know how to bottle him up.
Yep.
And Russ has better weapons too. So it's like they're familiar with this. I think they'll get a lot of pressure on Jalen, but Jalen will have a formidable performance, and they won't get run off the field, but they will lose.
Yeah, I think that Philly loses in this game as well. And, it's funny. People are talking about, Jalen Hurts played great in potentially the biggest game of his career. Well, we also said that about the Saints game, and the next game is going to be the biggest game of his career because it's against a Niners team who is probably going to be the best matchup he's had because you had Taysom Hill with the Saints and you had the Falcons here. We're talking about big games. Every game this year is going to be big for Jalen Hurts, and it still pisses me off that Jalen Hurts doesn't get the respect he deserves. Look at the kid at Alabama. Look at the kid at Oklahoma. We don't need to continue to go through the numbers because he showed us, as much as I do think it's more about the Falcons being bad than the Eagles being good, Jalen Hurts is a baller. Jalen Hurts is dynamic. Jalen Hurts can make these throws, and he can run an offense. He's more than a manager. He's a game winner. He's a champion at this point. But when you're talking about a Bosa, when you're talking about an aggressive front seven, when you're talking about a Kyle Shanahan, we can respect the win over Sean Payton, but against an Arthur Smith, Gary and I were talking about it before. They bumped these coordinators up way too quick. And I kind of feel like Shanahan falls in there. I know he's got the Super Bowl performance, but what's outside of that? Injuries, cool, but again, what's outside of that? What are you made of? Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, they make games happen with injuries. What's up with Kyle Shanahan? I do think this is a win for the Niners because that defense will be too much for Philly. But Jalen Hurts has a fantasy performance like he did in week 1. We could be talking about the Eagles maybe with an upset. But let's go and get on to the next game here. Yeah. We've got Kansas City at Baltimore and another rivalry brewing in front of us. It's another Brady Breeze, Brady Manning rivalry here. We're talking about Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Does Lamar, is he able to rebound from this tough loss in week 1 and finally get his first win against Mahomes?
Well, first of all, I cannot acknowledge that as a rivalry because one side has never won.
That is fair enough.
If you lose every time, it's not a rivalry.
It's an ass whooping at that point.
Pretty much.
It's I own you.
Yeah, I don't think it changes.
Right.
After what we saw last week, just last night out of Lamar, He doesn't have any weapons. He's got a bunch of running backs that they brought in literally yesterday off the street. 1 week isn't going to be enough time to really infuse them into the offense.
Right.
And it's also not going to be enough time for Lamar to figure out how to let the ball fly and not his legs.
Right.
Against this team, it's like the Raiders were more than your defense could handle.
Yep.
Baltimore's defense is supposed to be strong. If you were not able to stop the Raiders, then Kansas City will score all over you.
Yep.
They're a team that's entirely too good for you not to be able to keep pace. Like that game against the Raiders is pretty much indicative of what it's going to look like for Baltimore. And I know last year they lost those 4 games and then they turned it around, but that still has a lot to do with who they're playing.
Right.
They've just got their Pat has Lamar's number. Lamar never shows up in games against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to be no different. This will be another huge Pat Mahomes game and another game where Lamar rushes for a whole bunch of yards.
Yep.
Has a couple of fumbles, an interception. He may have numbers, but they're going to lose. And it won't be that close.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a 38-21 victory here for the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, at the end of the day, this is a team that just knows how to play these Ravens well. They know how to cut them up defensively. And the Ravens, again, cannot find a solution for Patrick Mahomes. But, this matchup will be, again, more about Lamar failing than it will be about Mahomes just having his number. And I think that's a more important conversation because when you look at Lamar Jackson continuing year in and year out to be a great starter, win these football games, but when it comes down to winning the really big ones, and putting it on your back with your arm, he's not there for it. And we got to quit giving the excuses to Lamar. We got to quit giving him chance after chance after chance because, you're talking about Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, let's see another AFC, maybe Aaron Rodgers with the Broncos, Justin Herbert. You're talking about a lot of quarterbacks that you're potentially going to be at the bottom of the food chain when we talk about them because you're not able to play well. And here's the thing, another knock on Lamar is, we kind of get the Giannis comparison. Plays well with a lead up until, Giannis recently plays well with a lead. But when he's behind, Lamar's a different guy. Lamar's going to be a real head scratcher when he's got to pull you from behind with the throwing game. And it's just not going to be there. So I think Kansas City wins handily. As much as I hate to say that, because I want to see the Ravens finally get one. I wanted them to win the year that they were absolutely dominant. And they stunk it up against the Titans. I got the Chiefs winning, though, probably on a tune of 38-21. I think it'll be a 14-plus point win.
I can see that.
Here. So let's go ahead and go on, Wesley. Here you go, buddy. Talking about the Tennessee Titans and the Seattle Seahawks, Ryan Tannehill, Russell Wilson, really 2 loaded offenses, but I think this one's really going to come down to coaching. But who wins this one and why?
I mean, I'm actually going to take Tennessee in this game. Although Seattle did have a really good rush defense last season.
Yeah.
Seattle is very inconsistent, especially in the beginning of the season. Even though Russ will put up numbers, they normally aren't one of the last undefeated teams. They'll come out, they'll play really good one week, play really bad the next week. Like, this could be one of those games where Seattle gets down by a lot early and Russ walks them down, and ultimately they just run the clock out on him before he's able to get them all the way back in the game. So, I mean, this is something that we often see out of Seattle. It's really it's very difficult to even explain why this happens. There's like last season, I believe the reason why they were one of the top-rated rushing defenses in the league, they were fifth in the league in rushing last year. But that doesn't always tell the story. They were fifth in the league in rushing because their pass defense was so bad.
Yeah.
People just threw the ball on them. They didn't have to run.
Yep.
It didn't mean they could stop the run. You didn't have to.
Right.
So, I mean, if you look at it now, like, that's why I always scoff at people trying to give me the defensive rankings based off of total defense, passing, or rushing yards. Give me, like, how many points are you giving up?
Yeah. To me, that's what matters. Are you giving up 30 a game, or are you giving up 21 with 400 passing yards?
Yeah, I mean, like, what right now, the top two rushing defenses in the league, just off the top of my head, I would say have to be, probably the Bucks and the Cowboys, because neither team ran.
Yeah.
Like, neither team ran the ball at all.
Yeah. What, less than 30 attempts combined for both teams, I want to say?
Yeah, like, it was sad. I think they had, like, right at 30.
Right. Yeah.
But, like, for the whole game, so, like, I know both of those guys, their team stats are going to be through the roof.
Right.
Like, I'm actually going to fact check that because I really do want to know. I guarantee you those two are right at the top.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. So, oddly enough, not even oddly enough, I'm going to take the Seahawks here. The Seahawks defensive line really impressed me with the way that they were able to get to Carson Wentz. And not because it's Carson Wentz, because it's that Colts offensive line. You've got, I mean, like we've talked about it, they're up there with the Browns, they're up there with the Chiefs, they're up there with the Bucks. We know what the Colts offensive line is. And I think when we're arguing the best offensive line in the league, the Colts get mentioned at number one more than any other team out there. And when you talk about a weak factor of Seattle, when you're searching with Jadeveon Clowney, you bring in a Carlos Hyde, or not a Carlos Hyde, a Carlos Dunlap, and you're trying to get some effective guys in there. I think week one, yes, again, let's keep it in context. We got week one on the show here, but they still did get that pressure on a good line. So I got to give them credit. And with the Titans O-line, I know they're going through a little issues there. And we saw Chandler Jones absolutely emerge. So with the way the Seahawks played last week, I think we're looking at coaching. I think we're looking at defensive line, because the offenses are going to probably go tit for tat. But if we're talking about what's really going to knock it off, pressure, I'm going to give the W to Seattle there. I could see about a 28-21 victory. It'll be a comparable game, but Seattle should be able to win this one comfortably. So now let's talk about the Cowboys and the Chargers. Dallas, coming out with a moral victory, and the Chargers playing a tough one against the Washington football team. Do you have Dak putting up another performance, or will Justin Herbert lead his team to a win?
I mean, I think we see another very similar performance out of Dak, because what they were able to do to Tampa Bay's defense. I don't see anything the Chargers present defensively to actually bother him any more than that. I think Dallas will come out and win this game this week, and they will continue on with all of the crazy Super Bowl expectations after beating a Chargers team that no one other than Adam thinks is going anywhere.
That's right, baby.
The Chargers aren't making the playoffs. Dallas will beat the Chargers. Neither team will be relevant after 6 to 7 weeks into the season. But they'll get a whole lot of pub off of this. Being Dallas's defense clearly isn't that good, so Justin Herbert will put up numbers, but Dak will put up more numbers. I think Zeke will actually have a real game this week, because last week they didn't give him the ball. They didn't, like, nobody ran. They assumed that against that front four of Tampa, they couldn't run on them, so they didn't try.
Right.
So, I mean, people are killing Dak. Like, they're killing Zeke as if he's garbage. It's like, bro, he only got 11 carries.
Right.
Like, they didn't really give him the ball.
Yeah.
It was all Dak.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there, man. Now, so here we go. Fees. So, not on the Chargers, 0-1. I won the Chargers-Washington matchup. I'm going to win the Chargers-Cowboys matchup. I'll be 2-0 next week. You'll be 0-2. Chargers are going to win here. Justin Herbert, I think, is just going to play a better game overall from start to finish than Dak Prescott will. He showed you that he can definitely manage a Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jared Cook relationship. Does need some more efficiency from his running back situation, but the Chargers have a better defense than the Cowboys. The Chargers arguably have better coaching right now than the Cowboys do. Brandon Staley for the Chargers, who was the defensive coordinator for the Rams last year, best defense in the NFL, and they might not be an offensive kicking team, but again, it wouldn't be surprised if they are because they've got the weapons there. I don't think it's a a comfortable win for the Chargers because Dallas is going to be riding some of that momentum. I'm going to take about a 24-21 victory here for the LA Chargers. They could put up a 30-piece, but I think the Cowboys are able to hang with them efficiently enough to where it's going to slow down the pace of this game. Zeke is going to make his impact, but it's not an easy front seven for LA. But give me the Chargers here. 2-0 on the Chargers. 2-0 on the Chargers.
The Cowboys have they have a better offense at every position. Stop it.
We'll see. It's comparable. Let's go to the Rams Colts here.
Before they do not have wide receivers like Dallas. Stop it. Cut it out.
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are great,
They're not as good as Dallas's wide receiving core.
They're comparable.
Justin Herbert's
Keenan Allen is better than Amari Cooper.
What?
Keenan Allen is better. Chat, someone call, please. Let's talk about the route running in the hands of Keenan Allen.
Dallas has a better wide receiving core than the Chargers. Dak is better than Justin Herbert.
Comparable.
Zeke is better than Eckler.
Comparable. Zeke's not a dual threat. All right, Rams Colts, before we get out of the weekend watch, we got to carry on here. People are taking the cheese on the Rams. Best team, whatever, man. They played the Bears. But then we've got the Colts here who kind of stunk it up against the Seattle Seahawks, which was a shocker in some ways, but we are talking about Carson Wentz, who didn't play great, didn't play bad. But who do you have winning here between the Rams and the Colts?
I mean, I don't know who that was a shocker to. The Colts,
I know you didn't have to do
everything but a quarterback.
Yep.
And it's going to show up once again against an even better defense this week.
Yep.
Seattle's defense is really nothing to write home about, and they couldn't get it together against them. This game is going to look just as bad as the Bears-Rams game, where the Colts can't get anything together. The only thing they do have in their favor is their defense is better than what Chicago's was. So they may be able to hold the Rams down a little bit better than that to try to stay competitive in this football game. But at the end of the day, the Rams are going to win the game. It won't be a handily, like they won't win big, but the Rams are definitely going to win. I have zero faith in Carson Wentz overcoming anything. This is actually a battle of two quarterbacks that have gone to a new location that have excellent pieces around them, one of which who is good, the other who is highly overrated.
Yep, and they both have a lot of weapons around them, so there's, at this point, no excuses for either of those guys. When we're talking about the Colts going up against these Rams here, you're talking about a Jalen Ramsey, you're talking about an Aaron Donald, you're talking about a secondary, a linebacking core, a defensive line, a defense that is going to give these Colts trouble. Drive in and drive out, play in and play out. And is Carson Wentz going to be able to manage against a defense who just basically did whatever they wanted against the Bears team? I don't think so. That pass rush, like you just spoke with Seattle, this is going to be a moment where how many times does Aaron Donald get to Carson Wentz? That is going to be a major part of this story. How many times is Carson Wentz afraid to throw towards Jalen Ramsey? How many times is Jalen Ramsey really going to get his hands on a T.Y. Hilton, on a potentially forget the name here. Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, Michael Pittman.
Potentially a tight end there. Mo Alley Cox. He is, and he probably won't be on a Mo Alley Cox, but he is a very physical guy who pisses dudes off, makes them get in their head. And overall, when you're talking about a huge defensive presence from those Rams, and the offense kind of looks like at this moment, which it will be a better defense for the Colts, but that offense was kind of doing whatever they wanted to. So if it goes rough for Indianapolis, Rams could roll here, and I don't see a roll. I see a comfortable win by about 10 points. Can't give you a score yet, though, but I do see a 10-point victory here for these LA Rams. So we are a little past 9:30. We'll hit a little sponsor break here before we get on into our waiver wire pickups for fantasy football. Guys, make sure you check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. People ask, what are you guys on? The real question is, where do you listen? Because we're absolutely everywhere. If you can't find Petty Sports, if you can't find the website, if you can't find us on social media, it's because you're not looking. You see everything coming across on the screen there. Call the show at 678-871-9602. Instagram family, y'all been crazy up on the live. I think overall we've had about 35, 40 people hop in and out. I know we've been holding at a few all night, but appreciate you guys hopping in. Just more engagement for y'all. And we're going to go ahead and get some waiver wire pickups and then give you our picks for week 2. So, Fees. Crazy ass 2 quarterback league. I need to get in on that, man. Who is going to be on your waiver wire pickup after NFL week 1?
I mean, this one isn't for me because my fantasy squad actually balled out like both of them.
You're loaded,
so
dude.
I don't need anybody. I drafted to not have to trade or really jump into the waivers unless I ran into injuries. And fortunately, none of the guys that I have got stuck by the injury bug. But if you are looking for a quarterback because your guy went down or you just were unfortunate and you did auto draft and you didn't really get a quarterback, I think Taylor Heineke is a very serviceable option at this very moment. He did look good when he came in for the injured Fitzpatrick, who was supposed to be out at least 8 weeks is what I'm hearing at this point.
Yeah.
So he's about to get a lot of playing time. He's not bad. We saw him last year in the playoffs against the Bucs, and he actually did well. And he did good in the little bit of time that he got at the end of this game. I mean, he went 11 for 15, put up 122 yards on a touchdown. I think he's going to actually put up some very serviceable fantasy numbers. And if he's not turning the ball over, he can definitely help you in a spot where you need a quarterback, especially if you're in one of those 2 quarterback leagues. Like one of my leagues, it is a 2 quarterback league. So there aren't very many options out there.
Dude put up like 100 points with his quarterbacks, y'all. What the hell? I was like, what kind of league is this, dude? I need to be in here.
Over 100. I got Brady and Rodgers.
Brady,
I got Brady and Russell Wilson, my bad.
Is it like I swore one of your quarterbacks had like 66 points.
No, that was Pat Mahomes on the other side against me. He had 65. I think Brady had like 59 and Russ had like 54.
Is it PPR? Like, is it 1.5 people or well, what is it? That's way higher.
I don't
Double?
know. The scoring in that league is ridiculous.
Y'all just want to see the numbers go up. I feel you.
Yeah,
all right, man.
I looked at it and I noticed that we were 2 quarterbacks, and then I looked at the scoring and was like, oh, y'all are going for running backs like every other fantasy league. You clearly did not look at how the scoring was. I'm like, man, give me quarterbacks who are going to put up numbers because that's where the points come from.
100%. I'm right there with you, man. So we'll stick with the quarterback here. And, this guy was drafted in some leagues, but the way he was able to play on Sunday, and if we're talking about coaching, we're talking about a defense that's potentially going to be able to back him, I think he's a better pick than a Baker Mayfield, which some people think will be a little bit of a fantasy spark. I personally would have stayed away from him. I'm talking about Jameis Winston right now. Dude had 30 points just about in fantasy in week 1, and when you talk about him going to play a Panthers team next week, a team that he's pretty familiar with throwing against, stayed in the NFC South, coming from the Bucs, so he's going to have some familiarity in a division game, and he was comfortable with Juwan Johnson. He's going to be looking for a Marquez Callaway. He's going to be looking potentially for an Adam Trautman. Of course, Alvin Kamara, a Traquan Smith, a Deontay Harris. Like, Jameis found his targets, and yes, it was against a Packers team that isn't known for defense, and they're pretty rough overall and week 1. But Jameis Winston wouldn't be a horrible pickup here for your waiver wire if you're looking for a guy to supplement the quarterback position. But give me number 2 fees before we roll off here and get to week 2 picks.
Man, I would take TJ Hawkinson. And I know a lot of people don't know who he is. So when you were looking like he plays for Detroit, they got Jared Goff, and a lot of you weren't sold on him. You see that Detroit is going to be behind in a lot of games. And even if they aren't, Jared Goff he's going to be throwing the football a lot. I mean, he's throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. And he hit 9 different receivers in this last game.
Yep.
So, I mean, any receiver for Detroit is going to get work, whether it's the receivers, the running back. They're all getting receptions. So in your PPR leagues, they're going to keep up the numbers. I mean, Hawkinson had 8 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, you look at that, that's, about 18 points? Well, just shy of 18 because the 97 will get you 9.7. But then another 6 for the touchdown. So, I mean, that's a 24-point game. Like, that is a very good game out of a wide receiver, especially on a team where you're not really expecting them to put up points like that. And he's a guy who possibly could be available depending on how deep your league is.
Yep. Yeah, I feel you there, man. I want to put Trey Sermon on here for my second pick, but I know he was actually kind of favored in some fantasy leagues. So we'll start off with, if you can grab Trey Sermon, go ahead, because Raheem Mostert did go down and he's going to miss the season. But let's also take a look at Elijah Mitchell, for San Francisco. He's going to be a guy that, of course, in a Kyle Shanahan offense, a team that likes to run the ball 55, 60% of the time like they do, he's going to get his touches, he's going to get his carries. And when you're behind an O-line like that, you're going to get production. And we were talking a couple years ago when San Francisco went to the Super Bowl, not you and I specifically, but there were talks around the league. Is Raheem Mostert wanted this raise, he wanted this contract, but bro, you're running with Kyle Shanahan. Like, when you look at the offensive line with Derrick Henry, yes, Henry is a beast running, but give some credit to his O-line. Raheem Mostert is a beast running, but gives more credit, most of his credit really, to his O-line. Raheem Mostert's quick. Yes, he can be elusive. He can play. But when you're talking about a running back headlining that San Francisco backfield, you got to look at Elijah Mitchell, and I think he can sneak up, give you some points, and overall be a guy that could be a little clutch for you and maybe steal you a game. So let's go ahead, man, and get into these week 2 picks before we round out. Appreciate you guys tuning in for the Fantasy Waiver Wire. We got about, 20 minutes left here on the show. Loaded slate this week. I went 9-7 feeds. You went 7-9. I didn't think I actually beat you. I either thought we tied or you had one over me. But let's go ahead and start out here. So I see you have the lines on here. Are those, is that the current line or what you're taking?
No, that's actually the line. I didn't get all of them in there for you, but
that's okay.
Those are the betting lines.
Cool. Well, we'll start off with the ones we have, and then we'll just get the picks through the end. So, New York Giants at Washington football team. Looks like Washington is -3.5. Who you got and why?
Yep. I'm going to take the New York Giants in this game. I mean, we've got the football team coming out with Taylor Heineke starting. This will probably be his first actual start, even though he's come in quite a few times to sub in for various quarterbacks as the backup out there in Washington. I think that New York is going to be rebounding off of a bad loss to the Denver Broncos. This is a strong front for Washington, but there are a lot of people in New York who got a lot to prove. Daniel Jones really has to get himself back on track. Saquon Barkley needs to actually have a sighting. I think New York will come out and actually, there's a lot of guys who are playing to save their jobs to keep themselves off that hot seat, and I think the Giants will win. So they'll cover the spread because they're not favored anyway.
All right, Giants winning here against the Washington football team. I am, oddly enough, going to take the Washington football team here. And I know they have Taylor Heineke, but when you look at how the Giants really did struggle against the Broncos, and yeah, that's a great secondary. You still got pass rushers, you've got linebackers, but when you're talking about Washington being a better defense, obviously, than the Broncos, and Jason Garrett has not been efficient whatsoever since he's been an offensive coordinator. They're averaging 17.3 points per game with Jason Garrett. Do you know that Daniel Jones, or rather the Giants since 2018, 2019, have failed to throw for over 285 yards in a game? That's absolutely embarrassing when you're talking about being able to work in the NFL. I am going to take the Washington football team with a win. I think they'll win, be able to hit the spread well enough. Now let's move on to the next game here. New England at the New York Jets. Jets are +5, and that seems fairly safe. Who do you have here?
Oh, definitely taking New England in this game. I think they will cover the spread. Looks like after Mac Jones was able to get his feet underneath him, he was very accurate and, surprisingly enough, looked like he had a lot more arm strength than what we gave him credit for watching in the preseason, because those balls looked like the ones that he did have velocity on them looked like he was hurting himself to throw the ball that hard. But everything, almost every ball came out with extreme zip on it. He did have some command over the offense. This Jets defense is nowhere near as good as Miami's, what they played last week. And Zach Wilson is not going to be ready against the Bill Belichick defense. So, I think this one is actually going to be ugly. The +5 line should be an easy cover.
Yeah, I agree with you, and nothing more to say there. Bill Belichick's going to have fun with the Zach Wilson that struggled in week 1. We're talking about Mac Jones being able to have more of a chance against a rough Jets defense, and I think this is a fairly easy win. Not much more to say here. I think it's a safe bet for sure for New England. Now let's talk about Cincinnati and Chicago. Cincinnati snuck up a little bit in an OT win, and Chicago looked kind of rough. Didn't really know again about their quarterback. Who do you have here?
I'm going to take Chicago because I think they're going to pull the trigger much faster on putting Justin Fields in this game.
They have to.
It's not a defense like a LA Rams where they got to worry about an Aaron Donald or anybody of that caliber. Cincinnati's not a bad football team,
right,
but they're not that good either. So I think they'll have much more confidence in actually letting Justin go. This could be the game where Justin actually takes over the starting position and we stop getting Andy Dalton in the game, which I really hope that actually happens. But I think so long as they put Justin in a timely manner, Chicago should win this game. Their defense should be enough to hold Cincinnati down. The 3-point spread, I think, is safe. I'm taking Chicago with the points.
I'm going to take Chicago with the points as well. When you talk about Justin Fields coming in, not a tough defense. super dynamic guy, little mix of a bunch of superstars in the league, and it's time. There was a big storyline we were talking about, and I had said it. If the Bears really think they're going to be able to make it past week 3 with Andy Dalton, Matt Nagy's going to be finding a job, and I don't know if Soldier Field would be in the same condition by the time week 4 or 5 came around. Let's just call it how it is, man. We know how those Bear fans are. And you got to want Justin Fields in there. More dynamic. He can manage a game. He can win you a game. He can cause a lot of hell as a rookie in this league. So I'm going to take Chicago and the points as well. Now, Houston at Cleveland. The Browns are favored by 12.5. I don't blame you if you have 10 words or less to say about this one, man. It's going to be hideous.
That's a lot of points.
That is a lot of points.
And granted, there's no reason why Cleveland shouldn't be able to win by 13 or better, but they are Cleveland.
Yep.
They'll show up for the big game. Like, that was a massive letdown against the Kansas City Chiefs because they very well easily could have won that football game, but they didn't. I think they come out and have a letdown, not so much a letdown where they lose the game. I think Cleveland will win, but I'm not taking them to cover that spread. If I'm betting against the spread, I take Houston to not lose by 13.
Taking Houston to not lose by 13.
Well, that's how you bet. Like,
right.
They don't have to win. I'm not saying Cleveland's going to win the game.
Right.
But
they just won't lose by
they're not covering that spread.
Yeah. All right, yeah, I can see what you mean there with the Browns. Being a little goofy like they like to be, being not wanting to be a doormat anymore, but still being that team that is going to be a strong defensive presence and is still trying to make a way for Baker to get some of the critics off him and is going to have a great running game. Again with you, I don't know about the points in this one because that is a lot for Cleveland. That is a lot for them to cover with bouncing off of a tough one from the Kansas City Chiefs. I am going to take Cleveland to win this one though, but the points are, I guess, to be determined. So let's go on here to the LA Rams at the Indianapolis Colts. Matt Stafford's going to be tested. Carson Wentz is definitely going to be tested. 2 new QBs and 2 new situations. Tell me what happens.
I mean, just like we discussed earlier, we were on the weekend watch. Like, man, I'm taking the Rams to win this game. The spread is the Rams by 4. It means they got to win by 5. The Rams will cover that spread.
Yep.
I don't think Indy has enough in him. Carson Wentz, I have zero confidence in him to get it together against a defense like that in LA. I mean, it could be really ugly. I mean, I don't think they'll just blow them out, but 4 points is safe. The Rams win this.
100%. Better defense. Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald are going to be a major reason why the Rams are being able to be so effective in this game. And Matthew Stafford will be tested, but easy one for the Rams here. Let's go ahead and get to Buffalo at Miami. Miami is plus 3.5, so a little shaky there on your points, but what do you think about this one?
Oh, I mean, I think that's an ugly game. Buffalo's going to rebound. Miami can't really score like that. I mean,
right.
Last week was a rookie quarterback against a kind of rookie.
Right.
And 2 actually good defenses. Buffalo looked so bad last week. They really have to rebound. Josh Allen is not going to play that bad again. I think their defense steps up. I think Buffalo will blow Miami out.
I think I got to agree with you there, man. Buffalo can score at will. Miami absolutely cannot. Now, Miami is going to have a tough defense, but it's definitely not going to be in the likes of the Steelers. Pass rush might be a thing that, Buffalo is going to be concerned about, but I think Josh Allen, like you said, rebounds well, isn't going to be as pass heavy, and they got to get some running game incorporated there. I know Buffalo might have had some sort of takeaway from the rushing game, whether it was good or bad, but nonetheless, it has to be more effective, and they've just got to do more overall in this game against Miami. Definitely going to take Buffalo to win, but the points, I think they should be able to cover, but we'll see what happens. So let's talk about San Francisco.
Got to win by 4.
Yeah. I'm being so terrible on the Bills right now. All right, so San Francisco at Philadelphia. We did cover this one. Philly plus 3.5. Do you think San Francisco should take this one?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got San Francisco winning this game. The 3.5 point spread, don't think is too much. Granted, I mean, I figure Jalen Hurts will have a big game and on this stage against a really good San Francisco defense. But ultimately, I don't think they have enough to actually beat San Francisco. And a 3.5 point spread actually speaks volumes to how good Vegas is giving credit for the Eagles to actually be.
Yep.
I don't think they'll be able to cover it. Give me San Francisco definitely by more than 4 points.
Give me San Francisco as well. Like I said, man, more than 4 points. I mean, Jalen Hurts is going to be going up against a defense that he's going to have to go through some challenges with, and we'll see what happens with San Francisco, but it should be a comfortable one. Coaching mismatch. Mismatch is kind of everywhere, but we'll see what happens with the offenses also. So Las Vegas at Pittsburgh. The Steelers are favored by 6. Had a hell of a win against the Bills, and of course the Raiders just did what they did on Monday Night Football. Both of these teams are really feeling themselves. What happens?
I think this game is a snooze fest, really. I don't think Pittsburgh covers the 6-point spread, but I do have Pittsburgh winning. The Raiders will come out like game busters at home. Now they're going on the road. Pittsburgh will be able to stop them, but Pittsburgh's offense is it leaves so much to be desired.
Yep.
I think this could be like a 13-10 type of game where they don't cover the score. It won't be interesting to watch. The Steelers win another one, and then we'll have certain people talking about the 7th Super Bowl championship.
Well, you just dropped it so flat, just dropped it perfectly. Yeah, I'm going to have Pittsburgh winning here as well. -6, though, I feel like this could be a push. I could literally see, like you said, a snooze fest, 20-14 win, because the Raiders, I know there's that meme out there about, the pass rush against the Saints, but we're talking about a TJ Watt. We're talking about a Cameron Hayward. We're talking about a lot of guys on that Steelers defensive line that are going to give you hell, that were able to get through that Bills line. And the Raiders, with Leatherwood kind of being a little, not kind of being a little bit, Leatherwood not having a great performance. I know some people wanted to see him look better, but hey, they still got the win. But I am going to take Pittsburgh here. I'm going to take a push on the points, though. I could see a 20-14 victory here for the Steelers at home. Now let's talk about my Saints at the Carolina Panthers divisional matchup. Jameis Winston and Sam Darnold, Sean Payton and Matt Rule. Tell me about it.
Yeah, the Saints are favored by 3.5 in this game. I don't really think that they're safe with that spread at all. I've told you, I'm not really impressed with what they did against Green Bay. Not to take anything away from the fact that they took advantage of all the opportunities that they had. I just don't feel like they'll ever see another game where they get that many opportunities with so many short fields to put up points without actually producing real offense. The Carolina Panthers are going to actually play defense. They won't give them the ball in the red zone 4 or 5 times in a row for them to run the score up. And I don't think the game will be the same at all. I actually like the Carolina Panthers to win this game, so they'll definitely cover because they're not favored.
Saints at -3. Panthers always play the Saints tough. I could see a 1 to 2 point victory because I want to say actually there was one of those last season the Saints had to win on a last-second field goal against the Panthers, and they've also done that in the season. I want to say second game of the year with the division when the NFC Championship happened. The Panthers just know how to play the Saints. They have been in the division before, especially when Ron Rivera was there, seeing Breeze twice a year. Now you're seeing a rebuilding Saints, but the 3 points is I don't think the Saints will be able to cover that, win by 3 or less, but, I think they will win.
It's 3.5, so they got to win by 4.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a little too much for the Saints. But do give me the win for New Orleans here. Now let's get on to Denver at Jacksonville. I think Lawrence is going to struggle in this one. I really do.
This could be even worse than the Houston game. They're actually playing against a real football team.
A real secondary,
with a real defense all the way across the board.
Yep.
Teddy Bridgewater I can't even just say Teddy is just that much better than Tyrod Taylor. When Tyrod shows up, he's actually pretty serviceable to where him and Teddy are almost the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely bridge quarterbacks, but nonetheless, he is a very accurate quarterback. He takes care of the ball. He does have weapons at his disposal. The spread is Denver by 6. I definitely see Denver covering and winning this game with no problem. Think Denver is Jacksonville is going to get beat very bad a lot this season.
Yes, they are. I think the big headline here is Trevor Lawrence really does struggle against that Denver secondary. Teddy Bridgewater is able to manage himself to a game, work the run game well, and find a Cortland Sutton, a Jerry Jeudy out there to be effective and just walk all over a Jacksonville team. We said Denver by what's the spread?
6.
Denver by 6. Yeah, I think that's an easy cover for Denver. Minnesota at Arizona. Now, this is one I know it could seem like a snooze fest because Arizona could run all over him, but we saw a wire-to-wire game with the Bengals, but the Cardinals are better. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, I don't really see Minnesota rebounding to that level.
Yeah.
What Arizona showed us last week, they can go. They can put up points. They actually do have some defense. They were able to shut down Derrick Henry and all the weapons. Granted, that whole offense, they're under a new coaching regime, which a lot of people don't take into account how much that actually weighs in on how good a team will be from year to year.
Yep.
Like losing Arthur Smith was not a little thing, and you saw it last week. So, I mean, their defense may not be quite as good as what we thought just because of the weapons and the names on Tennessee's team, but this is a Minnesota team that just completely wet the bed against Cincinnati. They should have won that game. That's a win that they can't afford not to get because there aren't that many out there for them. And it's a 4 o'clock game, so you know I don't trust Kirk when it's not one. So I'm taking Arizona. They're favored by 4.5. They'll definitely cover.
I think Arizona covers as well. Kyler Murray over Kirk Cousins. Christian Kirk had a crazy game last week. DeAndre Hopkins did his thing, and, they don't have Patrick Peterson anymore. They are going to have someone, filling his role, and he's obviously not as effective as P2. Kyler Murray went off, like I said, and the Cardinals are just overall a much easier, much better team than the Vikings here, so I think the cover is safe for them. Another one that's going to be an easy bet, Falcons at Tampa Bay. But again, this is how it is. Falcons will lose week 1 and take Tampa Bay down to the wire. Maybe win, probably lose. Won't happen, though. Tampa Bay is going to blow out here. What do you think?
The spread is Tampa by 12.
I thought you were about to say 20. I was going to say, Jesus Christ.
I don't even think that spread is crazy because Dallas actually had a really good offense.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot Tampa could do with them, and Dallas just completely abandoned the run, threw the ball the entire game, and Dak was great out there. Matt has not showed us that he is that guy. Even in his really good years, he hasn't shown that he can battle that way.
Yep.
He doesn't have the kind of weapons that he used to when he was able to try to go toe-to-toe with people. I mean, they're playing at Tampa. Tampa will roll the Falcons. They'll cover the 12-point spread. Tampa will win big. It's another 400-yard, 4-touchdown game for Brady.
Yeah, Brady cuts up the secondary of Atlanta. Really does whatever he wants. Atlanta, tough 6 points. Honestly, I could say it again. I don't know. No. Here we go. Atlanta's going to be able to work a little bit on those corners of Tampa Bay, but the pass rush and just the mismatches of weapons and offense at this point will be a comfortable cover for Tampa, so I definitely agree. Dallas at L.A. I know we talked about this one. Cowboys at Chargers. I've got the Chargers. You've got the Cowboys.
Spread is Chargers by 3.
So I don't think Chargers win by 3. I think Chargers can win by 2, honestly.
Well, I mean, then that means I still win my bet because I got Dallas.
There you go, then. There we go. Perfect. Tennessee at Seattle. I know we chopped this one up as well. Titans and Seahawks. I just think Russell Wilson's going to be a better guy over Ryan Tannehill. Coaching mismatch, and overall, I think it's a fairly easy win for the Seahawks.
Seattle's a 5.5-point favorite in this game. I just don't like their consistency. I mean, I've yet to see Seattle actually be the team that they can be for an entire season.
Yeah.
They always come out with a 10 to 12 win total, but those 5 to 6 games that they lose are all head scratchers, and they're usually the teams like,
why the
hell? You lost to who?
Yeah.
How the hell did that happen?
Yep.
They might take out Kansas City and then lose to the Jets next week. It's like, what? Who are you? Doesn't make sense.
Right, I'm there with you. Kansas City at Baltimore here before we get the last game with Green Bay. Kansas City at Baltimore. I know it's not really a rivalry because of Mahomes and Lamar. Lamar has yet to win. I'm taking Mahomes to win comfortably. I think I said, 38 to...
38-21.
Yeah, 38-21. And what do you have here?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty accurate. The Chiefs are favored by 3.5, which I think is an absurdly low spread. So,
yeah.
I mean,
That's an easy cover.
If you've got this on your betting lines, go ahead and take it now so you can lock in at that spread. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's way too low.
Yeah. Yeah, I highly agree with you. Kansas City will come away with an easy W here, and more criticism, more pressure on Lamar.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is actually a funny one. So this is a divisional matchup. Jared Goff just threw his ass off against the Niners. Green Bay doesn't have a defense like the Niners, and Green Bay just got walloped. They're on the road again against a division
they're
rival.
home.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. You're right. Green Bay is at home, so it is a chance to rebound. But this feels like a trap game for Green Bay. What do you think about this one?
I mean, the Detroit Lions always play Green Bay tight. I mean, they usually lose to them, but it's always something flukish that happens. Like it's a Hail Mary.
Especially late in
it's
the
some
season.
crazy kick, or every weird game is Detroit versus the Packers.
Yep.
But Green Bay's favored by 10.5, which I think is an absurd line.
Yeah.
Green Bay will win the game. They're not winning by that much. I think Jared Goff actually has another big game because his defense, it's got nothing to throw at him. I just think Aaron Rodgers won't play that bad again.
Right.
So I think he'll ultimately outscore him, but they're not winning by 10.5.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a close Green Bay win.
Yeah. I could see like a 28-25. 27-24.
Like 37-34.
Oh, you're thinking a shootout here.
Monday night. This is a big game.
Yeah. So, and it's funny that you say a shootout because I think Goff will be able to go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. Loved TJ Hawkinson. Was really happy to be able to find a DeAndre Swift. And Jared Goff, now this is his division, and he's got a chance to make Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable in his own house, potentially send the Packers packing at 0-2. Don't think it'll happen. Do have the Packers winning here, but 10.5 is a big line to where I think Goff hangs in, and it's a even closer game, like you said. So
the 105-point Monday night game that we talk about, Jared Goff was the winning quarterback in that game.
Yep.
Like we forget that Pat Mahomes did not win that game.
Yeah. Had some two ugly fourth quarter interceptions in that game too.
Jared Goff put up 50+ points in that game. He could sling it.
Yeah, 100%. We know what Goff can do. So I am going to take Green Bay here, but the line at 10.5 is absolutely absurd. We're down to the last 60 seconds here on Petty Sports, guys. Super appreciate y'all tuning in on a Tuesday. It's been great. No callers, but that's okay. Y'all were with us on RG Live. Appreciate you, Instagram family, Facebook, YouTube family, Twitter family. Y'all have been awesome. Subscribe, please. If you didn't listen to anything we said in the whole show, just make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you catch us when we're going live. Link in the bio for all social media platforms. Fees, what you got to say, man?
Absolutely. As always, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, tell a friend. Make sure you follow me on all my social medias. It's Famous Fees everywhere that you do socials. We don't have to go through the listings. Make sure y'all tune in next week for week 3, the week 2 recap. It'll be Wednesday night. We'll be back on and popping. Hey, always, we appreciate y'all. We out.
Wednesday, baby. Let's go.